This is a St. Jude moment.
Ashton was a high-level athlete, and in an instant, your world flips. And your healthy 5-year-old competitive cheerleader has a brain tumor. And the physician was like, your best option is St. Jude. Receiving treatment that was life-saving for our child and knowing that that treatment would be of no cost to us was a huge weight lifted.
Learn more at stjude.org.
Here. Moving on. Who else is in our chat room tonight? And Steve Wolf, good to see you. The gorgeous Anne Celine from KPNL. And Dog Next Door, thanks for coming on in. J.G. Hartwell, Steve Wolf again, because I like saying Steve Wolf. And let's see, who else is here? Bob Erkins, nice to have you here. Awesome Ann Palmer. How much time do we got? I don't know. We got Obi Flett. Obi Flett is here. I'm still drained from last night. It was such a good show. Bob Green, thanks for coming on in. Welcome to our channel. And we're caught up. We're caught up. All right. We're going to have a good show tonight. Super Chat is open. Jesse Peak is here as our guest. Dark Magician, welcome to SOR Chat. All right. Yes, rest in peace. Tim, Double Tim Squared. Whatever you want to call him. Do me a favor, just for Tim. Horns up. Central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor that is, for Daver, and hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going into the skies of Pennsylvania to look for some UFOs. MUFON Zone, Jesse Peak is here. And then, from there, Swamp Dweller joins us in hour number 3 with another spooky story. Then we got, who do we got? Oh, who is it? Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio comes by with another cryptid report. We're going to try out the Magic 8-Ball tonight, see if it's actually going to be working or not, and that way we could get our Zen and Chi on. And then, of course, we got Shirky Poo's news. All right, let's get right to it here, shall we? As Jesse Peak is a certified MUFON field investigator for the state of Pennsylvania, out of the city of Philadelphia, completing dozens of cases of people who have seen UFOs. He is also a member of MUFON's Experiencer Resource Team, or the ERT, helping experiencers on a daily basis to find answers to what has happened to them. He's a member of the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies, yes, the SCU, advocate for the Planetary Society, working with Congress to extend funding for future space exploration, project director for Project Batek 404, researching electrical malfunctions associated with UFOs and encounters. This guy eats, drinks, and sleeps UFOs. I mean, you don't get much more woo than that, and that's what we like on this show, is a little bit of woo. Jesse Peak, welcome to Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you having me on tonight.
It is. It's a good time to have you on, and it's exciting times around the UFO world over the last few years.
Absolutely.
When did you fall in love with UFOs, man?
Ever since I was young, man. I was a Boy Scout up in the Pocono Mountains where you could see the sky really close. We always seen sightings up there. We took classes like space exploration and all kinds of different star watching activities that we did, and we got really interested in seeing stuff in the sky. And that always opened up my mind and made me think about what was really out there. So I started looking into different stuff and researching different papers and got really into it and did all my research, watched all the documentaries and and really learned my history about it all. And I really didn't know there was anywhere you could join. And then I found MUFON. And then I decided to take a step further and be in service because that's what I've done my entire life. So that's where I got, and that's where I am today. And I'm happy that I did it, and it's benefited me greatly. Met a lot of people, and I'm coming far away from where I was.
Now, with MUFON, that's an organization that is well over 50 years of doing UFO research right across not only the United States, but around the world as well. I mean, for some, it's a prestigious organization. For some, they're still holding a grudge about previous controversy. I will go on the record and say that I am a big fan of MUFON's. I like the changes that they have made over the years, and I am a supporter of them. And, you can thank a number of people, especially Tom Whitmore, for really, I think, cleaning a lot of that mess up that was there on the board of directors, because he's just so brilliant and a good friend of the show, and he'll be a guest here in just a couple of nights' time talking MJ12. But for you, getting involved with this, why has it been such a passion? Why have you literally dedicated your life to UFO research?
Because I had a sighting with my father here in Philadelphia. It really stemmed a lot of what I started, my Project Bat Tech. It really got me looking to see what all this is really about. I had electrical malfunction with my cell phone during our sighting, which definitely got the project stemmed off of what I'm doing. We were driving in the city, and being in the military, I'm very familiar with everything. My dad, he's 60 years old. He's been in the city his whole life. And we see 4 gold objects in the sky, something we had never seen before, flying in a different formation that no normal military jets fly in. And I go to take my phone out, and we're driving alongside these things, and I take the phone out, and it starts to freeze up. It's a brand new phone. I just had it about a month, and I can't get a good picture on it. So we stop at the red light, and the objects start disappearing one by one. And I get the phone, and it turns back on. And just as it turns back on, I catch the last object. And it completely blew my mind that it messed my phone up, that we were having this sighting, and that they were just disappearing the way they were. No objects that I've ever seen in my entire life have done that before. So it left me with a lot of questions. And MUFON has helped me learn and get certified in a bunch of different classes to be able to investigate these cases and get the answers that I'm looking for and searching for, which is how can they affect our technology with just a blink of an eye. I don't know how many cases I come across where people like me have had cell phone issues when they try to film a UFO or document a UFO. Their vehicles get stalled out. Their airplane engines tend to get stalled out. So it's just been something I've always looked into and wanted to find the answers for.
Well, for you, searching for those answers because you had a sighting, a lot of people will just try and rack it up as something that happened, something interesting that they saw in their life. But for you, it seemed to have triggered something that just became this passion, this desire. I can understand having this fascination with it, but you're gung-ho here. You are part of a younger generation that is really trying to push the limits to find out what all this UFO stuff is about. So going back in time, before you joined MUFON, before you had your sighting, what did you know about UFOs back then compared to what you know now?
Oh, I had no idea about anything back then. MUFON had us get certified in a bunch of different ways, astronomy. We had to learn different FA standards, the lights, the helicopter lights, on the airplane lights, the red, the green lights, all that kind of stuff. And when I was a kid, I had no idea that, UFOs didn't have that kind of stuff, or UFOs couldn't be on radars, you know what I mean? They could be able to affect technology the way they do. There was a lot of different things that I didn't know back then that I know now, which is when I get cases now, I'm able to investigate them and understand what they are and have a better idea for them. So, yeah. Okay,
so out of yourself, what have you learned about you since going through this entire process?
I've learned that I in the beginning, when I got into the field, especially when I first joined MUFON, that I did not think that the field was as extensive as it was, that you had to learn. The training process they put me through, I mean, it was over a year of training that I went through personally myself, with learning our field manual that we have. It's a really big, thick book you got to buy and learn. You got to take the certification class, and they teach you a bunch of different stuff. Just astronomy stuff, all kinds of different stuff. It's good.
Were you a fan of astronomy and flight before that?
Not really. No, not really. I wasn't really big into that stuff, but then I started paying attention to it and realizing that our entire Earth revolves around astronomy. So why not get involved in that? And once I started learning about it, it made it more interesting. And then learning about how that kind of can play into the UFO realm itself.
So you've been with MUFON now how long?
Since 2019.
So in those 3 years, how has your opinion changed on what UFOs are?
It's definitely opened my mind up to where I think that there's a bunch of different possibilities of what this could be. There's possibilities that they're not from our planet, that they're interdimensional, that they're possibly a bunch of different races of ETs, that they are maybe some are our own government, the UFOs. We have different substances that have been found at crash sites, such as like organic carbide and radioactivity, and then different things like things that have been found on NASA aircraft for when they re-enter. They're able to, the chemicals that are used to help get the shuttle through heat, through re-entry. And it's like, is this some of our stuff as well mixed in with the real stuff? So it makes you kind of open your eyes up and realize that stuff.
So I want to know, like, for you, as you expand on your own knowledge 3 years into MUFON, I mean, there's still a plethora of information that you need to learn over this next amount of time here. For you, what do you want to learn? What do you want to see or experience?
I would like to figure out, what this is. I want to know why they're affecting our technology, why they came here in the first place. Are they good? Are they bad? You know what I mean? What is their main goal? What is it they want from us? Is it something they want from us? Have they always been here? I don't know. And that's why I want to know. We get thousands of sightings, we get hundreds of sightings, and we're still trying to figure that out. That's the biggest question. Nobody really has all the answers to this phenomenon, which is why we all get into the field and we can get research and data and we can collect it all and we can find similarities and touch base with things. And we could get an idea of what's going on, which is what we hope to do. And in doing the projects like we're doing now, working with scientists and different other organizations that are sharing their stuff, we can really get an idea of what's going on. So that's what I plan to do. And if I could find and give somebody else an answer or help an experiencer along the way, that's what I'm about. It's about being in service.
I want to say this because, once again, I am going to preface that I am a fan of MUFONs, and I agree with everything that you are saying and the drive that you have. But one of the things that I have talked to a lot of the veteran MUFON people about, like I'm talking people who've been with MUFON, 15, 20, 30 years, is the purpose of MUFON. Does it still have the impact of being a UFO reporting center, knowing what has happened here over the last 4 years with the government kind of getting into the UFO game publicly, with videos that we've seen with sightings and Luis Elizondo, the job he has done, or Chris Mellon, scientists like Gary Nolan or Avi Loeb coming out with Jacques Vallée and starting up the Galileo project. How does MUFON continue to be relevant in order to keep their stature within the UFO community? Because this is one of the questions I honestly wonder about.
Well, I mean, I think MUFON is trying to keep up with what's going on. You have to change throughout time, right? I mean, we find different things within the UFO phenomenon that we have to make changes to. Correct, just like Avi Loeb's doing his research now. MUFON has just started Project Aquarius. Well, they've been working on it for a long time, which is to bring a bunch of organizations that are working separately together so that we can come to one place and have the largest readable and translatable database of UFO of work that we can all use in one place. There's going to be an app for your phone that you can use, and we have updated our manual multiple different times. So we kind of do change as the time goes on. And now with MUFON's ERT team, which is what I'm a part of, the Experiencer Resource Team, we're really trying to help the experiencer and understand what the experiencer is going through. I'm an experiencer myself, so I definitely can level on that playing field. And we try to learn from that and find similarities and help those individuals work through their experiences. So I think like people like Avi Loeb, we're definitely open to working with them and moving forward with them. And I think that's what MUFON's about. I mean, we have to evolve with the times, just like any other organization that's out there.
No, and I understand that, and I do see that happening. You know, one of my biggest critiques of it was, and it's recently changed under Director Dave McDonald, is I had been pushing MUFON. I said, and I remember these conversations with Tom Whitmore and a couple other members of the board, where I said, you guys have dropped the ball. The last 4 years, you dropped the ball. You've been waiting 50 years for the UFO story to come out in the U.S. government, and there's no MUFON on TV. There's no MUFON press releases. There's no MUFON going on this show or other shows saying, hey, you know, we've been here. We've got the data. We've got everything going on. And then the changeover happened for grotesque circumstances with the previous leader that we don't need to get into, and Dave McDonald takes over. And all of a sudden, the last few months, here come the press releases. Here come the knowledge. Now, I'm not taking credit for that, but I will say this. I think it's about time. You can only rebuild the image by improving the skills, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's part of like the outreach with the different MUFON conferences that we have, and, you know, making sure that when we bring members in that we're doing the right job and putting the right people in charge with a state director, type of deal. We have different section directors, and we're putting those people out there to make sure we educate the public properly, even our own people. If we don't do those things, then we're not staying up to the task. And I think that MUFON has done a really good job, especially Dave McDonald taking over, making a lot of different changes within MUFON. We now have normal monthly group meetings that we go to, Zoom meetings where we stay up to date on different things, different topics get brought up, so we can make sure we can address those things throughout MUFON. We make sure that we can address the experiencers and the people reporting to MUFON the right way, so that when they come to us, they know that they're going to someone that's going to, professionally look into their sighting, give them the correct time of day, not just push them to the side and say, oh, we just want your information for your sighting. We're going to do the right job for you. Dave McDonald's definitely done that a lot. He definitely sends messages out every month. He writes in the MUFON Journal monthly to make sure he touches base with everybody. So there has been definitely those changes that you're talking about. There has been some dark times, but I think like with every organization, you get some bad seeds, and that's just life. But I think we're going in a good direction now to where we are today. So, and I believe that too. And as one of the younger guys coming up in the field, I think it's part of our job to educate the younger generation that's coming up, like myself. If it wasn't for the guys that brought me up in the field, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, and doing the things that I'm doing today. So it's now my job to educate those young guys that are coming into the field with the right information, not the disinformation, and make sure that when they get to where I'm at today, they're doing the right thing as well. So I think that there's more things that are things that are being implemented in place of that to make sure that those things don't happen anymore.
Yeah, and realistically, that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
And it was good to see. Trust me, I mean that as a complete compliment. When all of a sudden I started getting press releases on my email from MUFON stating that this was going on and that they were pushing the media now to be a part of the game. I was pulling out my hair, dude, because I was like, come on, you've been waiting for this for 50 years. And now you go silent at the worst possible time? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? But I want to question you here on this. We got 4 minutes left. And then when we come back from the break at the bottom of the hour, we're going to get into some of the cases and stories you have covered that are interesting. But what's your stance on disclosure? Do you think there's disclosure going on, or is it more confirmation?
I believe that there's a lot of confirmation going on. A lot of confirmation that could be it could definitely be looked at as a disclosure, but people need to realize that there's a lot of things we already know about the UFO phenomenon. So that, yes, a lot of it is, just letting us know that this is what it is confirmation. But there is slowly little things and little tad bits coming out of disclosure, like what Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and Hal Putoff and Jim Semivan have done with bringing those videos to the light. And what that did, that allowed the government and Congress to start putting these bills in place to get us the UAP report that came out on June 25th. That also has the other report that's going to come out pretty soon. Lou Elizondo and them have been pushing in Congress to help them get the information they need so they can push further future bills. So I do believe that there is some disclosure that's happening, and it's slow, but it is happening. But you just got to watch that some of this stuff is stuff we already know. So, yes, there is a lot of confirmation going on.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think we're throwing around the word disclosure a little too eagerly and a little too loosely, because there is so much that goes on with disclosure that we're not even close to where we need to be. We really aren't. What would you like to see come out?
I would at least
The world around us is smart. We think your education should be smart too. With the FlexPath learning format from Capella University, you can set your own deadlines and leverage your experience to move forward at your pace. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. Welcome to another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper-gig speeds. Say hello to the Walkers, a family of not one but 4 Gagillionaires, each living up their Gagillionaire life at ludicrous internet speed. First up, Anna Walker. She dominates streaming like the matriarch she is. No show ever goes unwatched under her watch.
Next episode.
Next up, Peter Walker. There's no stopping this dad bod from showing up to his virtual workout sessions.
Let's go leg day.
And finally, the Walker twins. They may look alike but couldn't internet more differently. Harry dominates his fellow online gamers while Heather group video chats with friends.
Ooh, nice background filter, Jess.
Live like a Gagillionaire. Get internet that upgrades everything. AT&T Fiber, now with speeds up to 5 gigs.
Limited availability in select areas. Speeds not guaranteed. Single device wired speed max 4.7 gig per second. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
Like I say that I would like the government to come out and say, hey, this is what's been going on. But then if you look at it from their point of view, if they do that, then that means that all the 75 plus years since Roswell, they've been lying to us and they've known about this. I mean, they could try to play the role and say, hey, we just found out. But do you really believe that they would just find out that this is what's going on? And then they would have an uprising. You would have people saying, well, you knew about this all this long and now you're just telling the people. So I would like them to say that, but then I think some bad things would happen. But I do believe someday somebody's going to have to come out and at least let us know what's going on, because we have the right to know. We're the taxpayers. We pay them to do the job, to give us the correct information to the people. And I would like the truth to come out to say that, yeah, we've been visited for a very long time and something's going on.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen, though. There's just way too many secrets, Jesse, that the U.S. government wants to keep. Roswell. Even before Roswell, moving up forward. We just celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Phoenix Lights. We still know nothing about that, outside of potential flares dropped by A-10 Thunderbolts. Okay? And, there is so much going on. And like I said with Jimmy Church when he was on yesterday, there is this UFOs Pandora's box, man, that I would love to see open. I would love to see it open. And we cannot discount anything until that box is open. Every story is on the table. As much woo as possible is on the table. Every big name that we have heard on these last number of years is credible until proven to be uncredible. And I'm a firm believer in that. I don't care if it's Bob Lazar or the Eisenhower rumor or David Adair or anybody. We got to open it all up. Some people may not agree with that, Jesse, but I'm a firm believer in it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Dave. And we have to be careful what we do trust and what we don't trust, because there's a lot of disinformation out there. But we do have to look at the good things that are being brought out to the table that we've never seen before, and things that are happening now that have never happened in since Roswell. So, it can go both ways.
You're very right. Jesse, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Jesse Peak from MUFON, Pennsylvania. He's based out of Philadelphia, and he's hanging on out with us. He's wearing his colors. He's flying his MUFON flag, and we're going to get into some great stories from him chasing down UFOs. I mean, this guy literally wears out a pair of Nikes every month from running down UFOs. That's how committed he is. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear.
All right.
All right. There we go. There we go. All right.
I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right there.
Yeah, you go right ahead, man. We got time. We got about 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. All right. What do we got going on in the chat room? Joe's Maine looking beautiful tonight. Oh, yes. Lou's Amnesty. Lewis's Amnesty. Just reading the chat room here, getting caught up. Hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandma. It used to be hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. But she just became a grandmother 2 weeks ago, first time. So we pay tribute to Sandra with hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandma. Once again, Double Tim, a.k.a. Tim Claremont, longtime listener of this show, found out about 45 minutes before showtime that he passed away from a heart attack. He was found this morning, apparently sitting in his truck. And Tim was a very, very loyal listener of ours for the last number of years. And it's another tough one. Coming off of Ethereal Aura, Butch Witkowski. It's been a tough couple months right now. I don't know if I like it. Not going to lie. I don't know if I like it. Uncle Dale and his power stash are here. If you see Uncle Dale hanging out in Austin, Texas, we can... well, let's see here. If you see Uncle Dale in Austin, Texas, do us a favor and visit him. Rub his power stash for good luck. Yeah. Jesse here, just so you know, is not feeling very well tonight. We're probably going to cut him out at the top of the hour. And then what we are going to do is we're going to have to make a game change on the fly here, where I'm going to put the link up in the chat room, and you guys can call on in and ask any questions that you want. So we can try that out and see how that goes. And you can ask, anything UFOs, cryptids, or anything. We never do an open line thing. Let's give it a try. Our guest isn't feeling very good, so we're going to try and make the best of it. You guys all good with that? You got to be in our chat room. You got to be in YouTube in order to do that. Got to change on the fly. It's like hockey. Change on the fly. It's all good. Hi, there's gorgeous Amy Vegas. Oh, she'll be at our Vegas party. Oh, I know, Amy Vegas. Oh, I know. I just never do it. I never do it. We'll give it a try. Thank you, Steve Wolf, for the super chat. Really appreciate that, along with Todd for kicking things off tonight. Remember, if you do come on air, no swearing, no COVID talk, no government politics, unless you're throwing Justin Trudeau under the bus. No, I'm teasing. I don't even want that. Jesse, are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
All right. All right. I'm sorry you're not feeling well here, dude. Well,
no, that's cool. I'm getting over COVID, so it's just bad.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. We got like 10 seconds here, and we don't want to kick you down here any further than we have to, because I know what that's like being sick. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. We continue on talking UFOs tonight. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We got up till the top of the hour. Our guest tonight, Jesse Peak, is going to battle through. He's not feeling very good, but he's going to stick with us until we get to the top, and then we're going to try something new here. We're actually going to open up the lines here, and if you got questions, you can call on in. I never do it. I'm taking a chance tonight. See if my hunch is correct. Otherwise, it'll be some pretty bad radio, just so you know. Pretty bad radio. We're not used to that. But I'll take the blame for that. Jesse is part of MUFON, and he's based out of the state of Pennsylvania. Beautiful state. I love Pennsylvania. Jesse, sorry you're not feeling well, man. We're going to battle through here.
I'm sorry, man, myself, so I'm sorry about it.
Oh,
I'm trying.
It happens. It happens, my friend. The good part about it is we do get to bring you back when that happens.
Yes.
We do.
I would love to.
Yeah. We're not going to hold it against you. Geez, like during the show, he faked a sickness and, he cut out 1 hour and, when we see him live, we're going to throw a shoe at him. No, we're not those kind of people. I mean, I'll still throw a shoe at you just because. But, we're going to bring you back on. We're definitely going to bring you back on. All right. Let's get to some of your stories that you have been able to sink your teeth into. What kind of cases do you like covering?
So my favorite cases that I like covering is part of the Project Bat Tech 404 that I'm the director of. So when I had that sighting with my father in the city and my phone malfunctioned, I started coming across a lot of different cases of electrical malfunctions associated with a UFO sighting or encounter. One of the big ones a lot of people know of well, there's a bunch of different ones, really. Kevin Randall talks about a lot of them in this new book called Level Land. But you got Leonard Stringfield, who's someone that everybody knows of in ufology. He was flying his C-40 cargo plane over Iwo Jima when they had 3 UFOs come on one of their sides of their plane, and the engine started to malfunction. I mean, black smoke started coming out of it. The engine started failing, and the pilot's starting to yell that we're going to have to bow. Well, as soon as the UFOs get out of range, the engine kicks back on, and everybody lands fine, and everybody's safe. And it's encounters like that have stemmed this whole project. And BATTech stands for Battery Technology, and 404 stands for an error code that you get with everyday technology. Now, we have our own database that we're collecting, sort of kind of like MUFON does. And we also now have some scientists that are on board with us that are working with we're trying to figure out, we're getting to the testing phase now of how we can test different frequencies to see how they affect our technology, to see what frequencies that we can replicate a UFO affecting a car engine or an airplane engine or something like that. So I'm super, my time is like a lot into that, and my MUFON, I split it up between that. But I put a great team together, and we've been taking tons of cases. We have a pretty big database right now. And with the scientists we're working with, we found out that before 1974, diesel engines were not being affected by UFO sightings. I mean, there would be diesel engines right next to a combustion engine, and the combustion engine would completely shut down, but the diesel engine would continue to run. Now, inside the cockpit of the truck or the diesel engine, the lights and the radio would dim out, but the engine would continue to run. And then once the UFOs would leave, everything would kick back on and start working. Now, what happened in 1974 is that the U.S. Federal emission standards went into place, and they wind up having to make a lot of different changes to these engines. So after 1974, when the UFOs would come over, the diesel engines would start being affected. So we're trying to look at the technology and what mechanics were involved in those engines back then to make them not affected by these UFOs. If we can figure that out, we can maybe figure out a way to stop this from happening to our everyday technology when a UFO comes into our view. You know what I mean? There's some really interesting stuff we're starting to find out, and it's got my brain rolling and starting to set up some real testing that we can do to replicate this.
The frequency matter seems to be catching on quite a bit, whether it's through investigators such as yourself or even people like Avi Loeb or people who are connected to the Galileo Project or the SCU. Figuring out their technology, whoever they are, we are starting to get a little smarter with our own ways of being able to track devices, track aircraft, and track any sort of anomalies. Is it just a matter before we crack any certain code that they are traveling on or that they are using in order to figure out their technology? Well, see, there's a saying that, whatever we have, say we have the iPhone 13 right now. They say the government's, already 20, 30 years ahead of that. And they're just giving it to us now. So there's already a possibility that the government already has some type of technology that they're able to track these objects on. I just seen a video the other day of an astronaut up in space, and he has the video on while he's working outside, and these UFOs would come in the face, and he would put his hand up to try to block them, like someone was radioing to him to block the camera. You know what I mean? So it's like, are they tracking these things already, and we just don't know about it? It's a big question that I have, but I do think that they are kind of tracking them in a sense, but I don't think they fully know how to yet. What do you think we're missing on the technological side in being able to track them?
I don't think we know how to use certain materials, like metamaterials and different connections. I don't think we're smart enough to know how to use these things yet. Even like it's like saying someone like, do you know how to meditate and do you know how to get out of body? And someone has to learn how to do that. And I don't believe we know how to do that yet. We don't know how to get that technology to a certain frequency to use it to be able to understand what we're dealing with yet, because the technology is so far ahead of us. So there's a big possibility that we just can't figure it out yet, or our minds aren't consciously there yet to be able to figure that out.
Okay, so is it a matter of frequency or is it a matter of something else that we need to track? Is it their different metals that they're using? Is it their different propulsion that we have to try and catch, since there is no heat signature that is coming from the crafts that seem to be coming in? How do we track something that we don't even know what it is?
Well, that's definitely a good question. I would hope that Avi Loeb is doing something that's going to try to help with that. That's his goal at the end of the day. He said he's going to be able to use use the technology that he has to be able to track these things in a different way we've never been able to do before, and be able to get clear pictures and not grainy pictures. So I'm kind of waiting on to see what he's got to do to be able to answer that question, because I really don't have the answers to that.
How many people have you interviewed as eyewitnesses who have had missing time and found it on their Fitbits?
I heard about this the other night, and no, but we've had Apple Watches. I've had people report to us, even for our back tech that we've done. We've had Apple Watches track different times and things and do different readings that they have no idea about. They wake up the next day, just like you guys talked about with the Fitbit, but the Apple Watch kind of does the same thing. So I have had one story, and it's in our database for the Bat Tech project that we're doing now, which was really interesting when I heard you guys talk about it last night.
Care to share it with us?
I don't know all the details, but I believe there was some missing time that was on there, I believe. Time that was not able to be accounted for, just like your Fitbit was doing. It said that person was awake and walking around and counted some different movements. And you don't hear that too often, because I don't think not many people that have Fitbits and Apple Watches are reporting UFO things like that. I don't think too many of them have. So it's really interesting, and we don't have too much data on this yet, so there's not much to know about it.
I really think that is a technology that we got to delve into. And I'm in a private group with a bunch of scientists, and trust me, I am not scientific at all, and I don't proclaim to be. I don't play one on the radio or anything. But I brought that up to a number of scientists, and they were absolutely blown away. They were blown away that this could have potential as being something, and I really hope that the scientific people really jump on that bandwagon to start seeing, okay, what is a Fitbit or a smartwatch doing that we are not catching with UFOs? I mean, if anything right now can give a little bit more legitimization to experiencers who claim they are being taken, it seems that it could be something in the technology with the smart watches. And
yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
It's a clue. That's all we have is clues, and we got to run these clues into the ground.
Right. And that's why it's our job to educate people about this phenomenon, because the more we educate people, the more we'll be able to tell these people that this is what's going on. So if other people that are wearing these smartwatches and things like that know about it, they know where to report it to. So then we can get the data on it and get it out to people and be able to understand this a lot better. So that's why it's the job of the younger generation like myself to make sure we educate these people on what's happening to people. You know?
Exactly. What's your favorite case that you have covered to this day?
My favorite case is one of the projects, Bat Tech. It was a gentleman who was on his phone. He was on his way home, driving to his girlfriend's house, coming down a road that he normally did. And he just hangs up the phone, and he looks out his left window, and he sees these objects. And so he pulls over to the side of the road, and he's sitting there, and he's got a Sirius XM radio on, and he's listening. And he steps outside the car, and as they get closer, his car shuts off. The Sirius XM radio is sitting there and saying no signal. He tries to pick up his phone to call his girlfriend, who's right down the road at the house, to look out the door to see these objects. And he picks the phone up, and the phone won't even turn on. It's like the battery's dead completely. He takes the phone out, takes the battery, won't work. So then these objects start going down, and everything starts kicking back on. So he gets back in the car, but the phone still won't come back on. And as they get farther away, everything kicks back on. He takes off, and he gets back at the house, And he wasn't able to get that phone working until he actually took the battery back out and then put it back in and charged it. It was like it needed that connection again, that boost. And it just blows my mind that it's able to do that. And we figured out that with that case and a bunch of other cases that they have to be within a certain range. And we have a bunch of data on the different ranges. And that's what we're working with the scientists with. And
The world around us is smart. We think your education should be smart too. With the FlexPath learning format from Capella University, you can set your own deadlines and leverage your experience to move forward at your pace. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. Welcome to another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper-gig speeds. Say hello to the Walkers, a family of not one but 4 Gagillionaires, each living up their Gagillionaire life at ludicrous internet speed. First up, Anna Walker. She dominates streaming like the matriarch she is. No show ever goes unwatched under her watch.
Next episode.
Next up, Peter Walker. There's no stopping this dad bod from showing up to his virtual workout sessions.
Oh, let's go leg day.
And finally, the Walker twins. They may look alike but couldn't internet more differently. Harry dominates his fellow online gamers while Heather group video chats with friends.
Ooh, nice background filter, Jess.
Live like a Gagillionaire. Get internet that upgrades everything. AT&T Fiber, now with speeds up to 5 gigs.
Limited availability in select areas. Speeds not guaranteed. Single device wired speed max 4.7 gig per second. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
And the other big organizations that have sent a lot of data in, so we can give you a percentage of, how far these objects have to be able to affect your data. So it's really interesting stuff.
Okay, so when it comes to a case like that where somebody has their engine shut off or some sort of physical damage, how does that change the investigation when there is that type of physical proof?
Well, because at that point we can possibly get some EMF readings. There's more data we can collect on a case like that. Is there whatever frequency or whatever they use to affect our electronics that way? Sometimes it can give off different readings, and we can get that reading and take it back so we know what they used to affect it. And that gives us a better idea of whatever this was. We could put 2 and 2 together and find the similarities. And then if we find more cases like that, we know what we're dealing with when we're having UFO sightings. So the more things that go wrong in a case, which is really, we don't want that to happen, but the more things that go wrong and we're able to collect data on, the more we could find out about this phenomenon in general, if you know what I mean by when I say that.
How do we know if it's alien or human?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. And I think about that all the time. Is it us in the future? And I've heard many people say it could possibly be us in the future, many, many years in advance, trying to, watch us and lead us along and maybe help us in little ways here and there. But then the universe is just so big, there's possibilities. The possibilities are endless. I mean, there could be multiple different species, just like there's multiple different human beings or mammals or just like anything else. My thoughts at all times in this is that I'm completely open-minded with all possibilities because nobody knows the answers for sure. So until then, I'm going to be open-minded and continue looking at it that way because that's how we figure out things.
You know what? I think that's good. A good analogy of everything, because that is the biggest confusion that I have is you get so many people. That's human. This is nuts and bolts. That's human. That's NASA. That's Lockheed. That's Boeing. That's Northrop Grumman. How do you know? Yep. How do you know? Show me the directions or the certificate of authenticity. This is what I want, Jesse. This is what I want, man. And unfortunately, we don't get it that way. But I'm just curious, for the layman out there like me, how do we tell what's human and what's not? Because if it's nothing we recognize, it's always UFO.
Yeah. Yep. And there's people that say that they've seen different ETs and they could figure out, by the look of their jawline if they're a hybrid or, you could point different things out. And yeah, you could take that data for what it is and you can roll with it. But really, do we really honestly know? And so at that point, I just have to stay open-minded and I have to believe in all possibilities.
Okay, so how does your game plan change then between a case that involves a UFO and a case that involves ET contact?
So there's big differences with that. So, our training is completely separate too as well. I mean, you have to go through a whole other training process to become an ERT member from a field investigator. You have to learn how to deal with people. You need to learn about a little bit of psychology. If you're an experiencer as well, it definitely helps, which I am. So I'm a little, and even being an experiencer with what I've experienced, I'm still open-minded to other things. I'm still open-minded to being other possibilities. But we also got to learn that the people that are reporting in an ERT case need our help. And that's what we're there for. We're there to make sure that we can help them through their experience the best way we possibly can. So that's the job there. When I'm working as a field investigator, I'm there to take all the information and report a case. When I'm working with an experiencer, I'm there to assist that experiencer and welcome them through their experience, finding similarities in their case, getting them in outreach, going to different meetings and groups to learn and meet other people that can connect their similarities to their story. And it's basically another part of being in service. So it's two completely different things. When I'm a field investigator, I'm asking you questions. I want all the details on the nuts and bolts stuff, and that's what I want to report in that case. But when I'm working with an experiencer, I'm not reporting. I'm not taking data points for an experiencer. That's just not even right to even do that. We want to sit there and we want to help them and help them point out and get them the answers if we need to get them through a hypnotherapist and put them in regression and things like that. That's our job, to help people. So it's completely different from a regular investigation.
Okay, so take me on a story. We got 5 minutes left before we're going to say goodnight to you, because I know you're not feeling good, and thank you for battling here with us. But take me on a story where you've dealt with an experiencer.
Okay, so I'll even go with the last one I did. Somebody who's had a really bad experience. Scars on their body, possible implants. Very frantic when I first started talking to them. You could tell through the emails, through the wording. And right then and there, that points you to what kind of help you need to give at that point in time. You know how to work. You know how to work with them. You know how to talk to somebody. You know how to walk them through when you're having a conversation. You go and you set your interview up with that person, and what I do is I try to get all the details of their experience and write them down into a book. And then this way I can point out their similarities to them, because most of the time when they're calling, they have no idea. They're all over the place at that point. So then I walk them through that point. We have the whole conversation for about an hour. And usually what we'll do is we'll schedule to a meeting to go to. This way he or her can hear other experiences, talk about their experiences, and then learn from those as well. And then during that time, we could sit there and point little things out and find the similarities and help her and give her the answers to their experience. So it's a long process. I can't just sit here. Every person's a little bit different. But that's you want to go down the line with whatever they need. It's just, and no one is the same in my book. I've never met somebody that I could easily go this way or that way.
And you know what? That is something that we brought up here very recently on this show. Is for some reason everybody's experience is different. There are very rarely cases where two experiences are exactly the same. They may be similar, but nothing ever seems to be the same from one person to another. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think everybody's in their own state of mind when they have their own experiences. And I think everybody's mind's a little different, just like every person's a little different. So when you have your own experiences, there's different ways that you think, different ways you were brought up, different ways that you were raised by your parents, different religions. All that, and that comes into play when you have your experience. The way you look at things was it a bright light, or was it God, or was it an ET? You know what I mean? Was it a reptilian because it was a green orb, or was it? You know what I mean? It's a lot of different aspects, and I think because each person is so different on their own, that each experience they have is different.
Yeah, but even in you get those situations, and maybe you've had cases like this, as we got about 2.5 minutes to go, where, you get a group of people where only, say, 2 of the 4 of them or 3 of the 5 of them actually see what's going on, and the other 2 are looking in the exact same direction, and they don't see anything. That just trips me out there, Jesse.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And some people say that maybe that's just what those people needed at that time. Maybe those people just needed to see something and or needed that push in that certain direction or anything. You know what I mean? It could be just for that person. It's something we still don't understand, and that's why we're all in this, right?
Oh, that is very, very true. What about children? Have you had any cases with children being taken or having contact?
I've had only children or other witnesses to a sighting, but I haven't had any children that were contactees yet through MUFON. No.
That's just scary stuff.
Yeah, it's a whole different route right there with children for sure. And I was a counselor for 5 years for young scouts, so I can imagine what that's like.
Would you want to deal with those type of cases, or is that kind of a no-go area?
I would never say no to anybody. That's not who I am. So I would absolutely, if the help was needed, I would be there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you on that. It's just so much. It's amazing how the game automatically changes the minute kids and aliens are combined.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So give us a rundown. We got about 45 seconds left with you, Jesse. Give us a rundown on how people can get information to you in case they see a UFO in Pennsylvania or around their state.
Yeah, I mean, you just go to MUFON.com and report the case, and it will get sent to your local field investigator. And whoever's in your area, it'll be a local person. They'll get the case, and they'll reach out to you. I also got my podcast. It's UFO Encounters Worldwide. It comes out every Thursday with a new episode. You can catch it on all podcast platforms, and starting tomorrow, KGRA Digital Broadcasting. So we will be on there as well. And and if you want to report to the project, you can go to projectbattech404.wordpress.com to report a case, or if you want to send information our way. And I also do private investigations too. If you don't want to go that route, I'll help you on the side and do whatever I can to help you.
Appreciate that. Jesse Peak, MUFON, Pennsylvania. We got to cut it short with him. He's still getting over COVID. But the good news is next hour, the show goes on. We're going to open up the calls to those in our chat rooms. Tell me your UFO stories, your Bigfoot stories. We'll be back with Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio when we return. All right, buddy, you go get some rest, okay?
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dave. I apologize, man.
Don't apologize.
I'm trying to pull through it.
Hey, don't apologize, man. I mean, you're going through a sickness right now that you got to get healthy for, so you just go get healthy. Thank you for a great hour, though. Seriously, thank you for...
I try. My head's all cloudy, for real.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll let you go here,
right.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good night, Dave.
You too, man.
Yep, for sure.
Bye. Oh, man, I feel for him. I'm going to just run my dogs outside. I will be right back. I'll post the StreamYard link, and that way you guys can call on in. We will take only one call at a time. I'll be right back. Okay. If you want to call in, you just hit that. And I'm going to try and pin that. No, I don't want to block user. That's me. I've pinned it right to the top of YouTube. So let's check it on out. Hi, Siegel says, BBD Warrior, how are you? And we go from there. We'll have some cool conversation coming on up. I see people starting to line up, so just sit pretty. When we come back from break here in about 90 seconds, I'll reintroduce the show, and then we'll get it going. We'll open it up to the phone lines. Ooh, Gorgeous Magic Maiden, how are you? Oh, there's Grant Baker. The Grant Baker. You know, we're going to convince Grant. He's coming to Vegas. He's decided he's coming to our Vegas party, April 22nd to 24th. We're going to convince him to grow a badass mustache just for that event. Just for that event. I am convinced of it. Convinced of it that we can do it. Who else is game for that? I'm game for it. All right. The Unknown, how you doing? Hey, welcome from Fade to Black. Thank you. Appreciate you coming on in. The Unknown. You can hang out with us for a couple of hours if you want. Lee Pepping, how you doing, buddy? Just making sure I didn't miss anybody. We got about 20 seconds here. Mark Truth Seeker, what's happening? TMI, good to have you here. All right, here we go, everyone. Hour 2, right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Nopathia. Nopathia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Now, originally we had our guest Jesse Peak from MUFON, Pennsylvania, coming on for a couple of hours, but he is getting over COVID, and we are literally going to have to say goodnight to him because he just started not feeling very good. Hey, it happens. People get ill, but nonetheless, the show must go on. And so we're opening up the phones and the lines to some of you out there who may have some experiences or questions we want. We're going to get right to it right now. The man from ERRT Radio. How are you? Thank you for joining us on Spaced Out Radio.
How you doing, Dave Scott? What an interesting show. First time listener during the week. I listened to Michael W. Hall on Sunday, and or I have anyway. And I know Jesse. He's a personal friend of mine. So really genuine person, and I pray for his quick recovery and his family as well. And anyway, I had a question about what he's studying. on the electrical interference of UFOs. Grandmaster kind of answered my question earlier, but I wanted to ask you anyway to see what you think. I live in the middle of cornfields in a small town of 369 people in southwestern Minnesota. Not that I'm giving any kind of location, you don't want to do that, so be careful. But anyway, I have to drive a half an hour to get to the main town where the grocery store is. And I usually do a live drive with my video using StreamYard, and I stream it to Facebook and YouTube and things like that. And today what was happening was my video dropped out. My phone signal totally dropped off. Okay? During that time that the video dropped out and my signal was lost, I had a ringing in my ear on my left side. And now I normally have ringing in my ears from whatever, I don't know, life, I guess, whatever. And anyway, I normally have this ringing in my middle ear, not usually outside of my ear, but I heard it on my left side, outside of my ear, probably about the time that my phone dropped off. You know what I mean? So, I didn't see any UFO. I haven't seen one yet, except maybe one that I can't explain. But
The following message comes from Data IQ, the platform for everyday AI. Let's face it, the potential for positive change with AI is huge, but seeing that value is hard. AI-driven growth is about organizational transformation, not just technology. And today's businesses struggle with the complexities of bringing AI initiatives to fruition. That's where Data IQ comes in, infusing a culture of working with data and AI every day and at every level of the company. Whether solving for the mundane like automated forecasting, or what is the optimal number of widgets to buy, or undertaking moonshots that push the limit of today's technology to grow your organization and innovate. That's everyday AI. Join more than 45,000 people worldwide across banking, insurance, pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, retail, and more who are driving results with Data IQ. Visit dataiq.com to learn more. That's DATAIKU.com.
Spring deals are at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Get 40% off select bikes for the family. Buy a reel, get 30% off a fishing rod. And buy one, get one 50% off Magellan Outdoors Performance Cruise. Visit your store or academy.com. Ends March 20th. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See academy.com/disclaimers.
I'm not calling it a UFO because I don't know what it was. So I want to be reasonable as to what I'm saying, what it is. And I explained it to Jesse before, and he said, well, he didn't know what it was either. But anyway, it was something. I saw something. I just don't know what. But in general, I haven't seen a UFO sighting.
Okay.
But now, do you think that could have been something that was out of my realm of vision?
No, I don't think it is. And let me ask you a question here, if you don't mind. And that is, with the ringing in your ear that just came on, was it very loud, but at the same time, it felt like your ear was plugged?
Not plugged, but it was very loud.
And only in one ear, and not the other?
The major portion of it was on the left side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is something that I learned from my experiences of my own. And sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't. But from what I learned about this is that it may not be so much UFO as it is spirit. A spirit or a ghost trying to get your attention and communicate with you. And if it does happen, and I've had it actually happen many a times over the years doing this show, where all you have to do is say to it, hey, do you mind turning it down, please? Can you turn it down? It's really bugging me. And normally 9 times out of 10, you'll actually hear the volume of that turn from as loud as it is right down to nothing, and it'll fade right away. Now, for me, I have tinnitus. I have ringing in my ears constantly, and if it wasn't for headphones, I would absolutely be in trouble in hearing a lot of the stuff. And I know I'm destined for hearing aids one day because of it. But nonetheless, I still know the difference between my tinnitus and that weird ringing that comes on in. So my suggestion to you is, it's not uncommon, But next time it does happen, just say hello. And just say, hey, is there something that you want? You may be able to get a really good communication going if you pay attention. Or if they don't want to talk, whatever it may be, UFO or alien or ghost or spirit, they will literally turn it down. And like Game Vet in our chat room right now has said, he goes, I have said, not now, and the ringing stopped instantly. Yes, a lot of times people will believe that it is truly spirit or something trying to communicate with you. And if you don't want to communicate, just ask them to go away.
I like that answer, because I have actually heard that from some other mediums and psychics that are been in business for a long time, so I accept that as an answer.
Awesome.
But I just wonder why my phone was dropping out when normally it has a signal from my little town to the next town over.
Yeah.
Why did it cut out,
Well, it may be something to do with it. It may be just at that time there is a weak signal going through your area. There are so many different possibilities with that. That would be more of a natural phenomena than a supernatural type phenomena. It would be impossible really for us to try and figure out. My answer to that would be, it would be worth if you're curious, just maybe call your phone company and see if there was any dropouts in their signal in that area. I get them all the time in mine, where I'll be on the phone with somebody and all of a sudden, we'll have a clear signal and all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. And it's like, really? I was right in the middle of a concentration, with that. And I know it's not the aliens because I know where I live, but that's something.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you paid $1,200 or $10 for your phone. It's going to respond the same way.
You got that right. You got that right.
All right, well, thank you again for a great show, and we'll see you next time. I'm sure I'll be back.
I hope you are, and thank you so much for coming on in, and we will see you next time. All right.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's take another call here. This is from Grant Baker, who's just announced as of tonight he is going to be coming on in to our Las Vegas party for all of our listeners. Everyone's invited to the Vegas party April 22nd to 24th at the Golden Nugget Casino on the old Las Vegas Strip, Fremont Street. Grant, the challenge is out, man. You got to bring a power stash to that event. You have to.
You got it. In fact, I shave my beard and my stash about once a month, and it just comes back. I shaved about 3 days ago, and as you guys can see, it's already going to be there. So what I'll do for you is I'll just, however you want me to cut it, my man, I will cut it, and I will rock whatever you want when I get there. In fact, I just had my wife here, and she's my logistics machine. Of course, she's smarter than I am. And she's able to sit there and find out the best flights and exactly how I'm supposed to get there and what I got to do. I plan on renting a Lamborghini when I get there just so I can take you for a ride in it.
I've never been in one. I've never been in one.
I've never been in one. Actually, that's a lie. I've been in one. I've been in a Gallardo. My buddy Adam has one over in France Pass. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So what I wanted to get on here about is I've had some experiences with the last 2 days.
You got to fill us in on this. You were going to mention it to me while over text message, but hey man, if you want to tell what's happening to you over the last couple of days, I would love to hear it.
Oh, absolutely. So I've told you about the sparkling entities that we see in the bedroom. Well, I've had 2 more of those, and they're becoming more significant. And then unfortunately I gave away my night vision goggles, and I gave it to another family member so I could try to get them interested in looking up at the stars and seeing what they can see. And of course they got them and they never used them, but then all of a sudden here I am in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and we just moved here within the last 60 days. Actually December 23rd is when, so it's a Christmas present that we got this house. And then I get here and we have an awesome jacuzzi out in the front of the house. You got to join me here one of these days. I'll supply the beer, the steaks, and whatever you want if you want to come down. But what's really interesting is right out in front of my house is a lake. and I've seen shadows of triangles out there so far. I have yet to get them on camera. I promise I'm trying. It's usually when I'm in a jacuzzi. I'm not carrying my phone with me, but they're there. And so what I'm noticing over the last week, which is something different, is in the last few months, I've noticed a major slowdown on any kind of sightings. I did have in December, like I told you before, the sparkling gentleman that tried to hold me down. The I guess people call it sleep paralysis, but I've been having those consistently. In fact, last night and the night before, I had 2 incidents of the same exact thing, except I can't see them this time.
Are they still pinning you down?
Yes, they try to, and that's what wakes me up. Is I get that feeling, and this time, instead of being awake like in December when I was telling you before, where I was awake the whole time trying to get to sleep, and they would hold me down, and that's when I would catch them. This time, I would wake up with that kind of a oh gosh, how would I say it? It's not as much of a, it's not as big of a sensation. It's kind of like I get kind of the tingly feeling, a little bit of vibration, but then I start hearing noises. And I was like, oh, this is something I haven't heard since George, the ghost that strummed my guitar and stuff. And I was like, what is going on here? And I'd wake up. And of course, immediately, once I'd wake up, I'd look around, and I'd just get this kind of a feeling like everything's okay, we're cool. And I'd still hear a couple noises here and there. And I mean, this house was built in, I think, 78. And so we're still getting used to the creeks, and it gets really cold up here. We're at 4,500 foot level. And so I'm like, okay, well, it's getting 60 degrees out in the daytime. It's dropping below, 26, 25 degrees or even colder. A few days ago, it got to 13. So I'm expecting the house to make noises, but not these kind of noises. These are the noises that are happening. I've actually seen, not quite the shadow people, but I get a definite feeling that they're there. So unfortunately, I'm not seeing them this time, but I'm hearing them, which is quite interesting. Go ahead.
You know what I learned on Sunday night was I was talking to someone who is extremely involved in searching for the phenomena. I'm going to keep his name private, but people would recognize his name, and called me out of the blue at like 10 o'clock on Sunday night. And I love when stuff like that happens, because usually like I was half asleep, man, and this phone call came in, and I'm like, got to take this. And I know when he calls me over signal, he wants to talk. Okay. Yeah. And I'm all good like that. I'm all very good like that. But here was one of the interesting little narratives that he told me. When we see shadow people, and I think we've all seen shadow people, a number of us have. Apparently, according to those whom he works with, who may have government affiliation, they have learned that all shadow people are not spirits, but it could actually be remote viewers being seen in a shadow light or a shadow body. And I was taken aback by this. I was very much taken aback by this. And the idea behind this is, look, Grant, if you're having experiences, and I still think that somehow the government knows who is having experiences and who isn't. Okay?
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
But what happens, man, if all of a sudden, let's say somebody in the government knows you're having an experience, and it's a frequent experience, that they may actually be remote viewing into your house, and the shadow beings that you're seeing could actually be remote viewers checking in on what's happening with the phenomena around your home.
This is very interesting.
I was blown away by that. Blown away.
Did they specify that it was just the shadow beings themselves?
Like if you see a dark shadow being that kind of looks like a black cloud or something, I'm not saying like the Hat Man or something along those lines where you see like the human body in a shadow, but there's a lot of times where we see these clouds, these black clouds, just kind of hovering in a corner or by a tree or something along those lines. That not all the time, but there could be one or two of those times where you're actually being remote viewed on. Because remember, when remote viewers or astral travelers are looking around, they're picking up the signals that we give up.
Mm-hmm.
And if they know that you are attracting the phenomena, you give off a signal.
So there was back in, I don't remember what war it was, World War II, when they tried the remote viewing thing to try to see how the war was going to go and everything else. I'm probably way off on when that happened. And I know remote viewing is the government has used that before. You could look on History Channel and they had one of those specials about it and stuff, and you hear other people talk about it, and I don't remember the code name for that kind of thing. Was it Looking Glass?
Could have been.
Yeah, I think it was Looking Glass, and they were actually able to remote view further than just checking on us. So the Looking Glass was something that was way further past what we're talking about now, but it does actually make sense. What's really interesting is we've seen a lot of the shadow people, and including my wife, like I was telling you before, and we've also seen the shimmering people, the people that are made of kind of like like shimmery glitter, water, whatever you want to call it. Well, it's changed. So, 2.5 months ago in December, when I was moving up here and I had the last shimmer person I seen, I'm having a different feeling now. And I think, and what's really interesting is a lot of the UFO activity that I have noticed has been kind of dead, so to speak. I haven't been seeing it as much. I haven't been noticing as much things in the sky. And of course, when I look at, or when I go out all the time and look for it and you never see it, but it's those random times that I do. Well, now it's been nothing. All I'm having is the in-home, this is what's going on, just kind of a basic, I'm going to wake you up in the middle of the night for no reason and then make some noise in the house, and then all of a sudden I go back to sleep. I don't have any weird danger, like something's wrong kind of feeling. I wake up, I notice the noise, I notice the movement, and then all is gone. And so if they're checking on us, it kind of makes me wonder why they're doing that so much or so frequently now. And maybe things are escalating. I mean, I would love to know the truth, obviously, as everybody else would, but
we got
and
we got to get Merle and Jacob Rice and Ross Allison down to your house and check it on out, man. We got to do that, and it's definitely
Merle.
Yeah, you need some Merle time down there. You need some Merle time. We'll make time.
Absolutely.
We'll make time. Game Vet wants to know, do you hear music tones or screaming during sightings or after?
No. So what's really interesting is I've never heard music. I've heard this before, too. The screaming I hear with more paranormal things with other people. I've never actually heard that. The one interesting thing that I do hear, and I've actually asked quite a few people this, Dave, have you ever heard someone scream your name throughout your life?
Well, I mean, non-human, no.
No, like, so nobody around you says anything. You could be anywhere and someone just screams your name.
Like, are you saying, like, if I'm in a group of people?
It could be a group of people. You could be out in the woods. It doesn't matter.
No.
And the interesting thing about this is I've heard my name yelled to me, and it catches your attention, obviously, because you're hearing your name. And I have a very interesting name. I mean, not too many people are named Grant, besides Grant Cameron and about 7 other people in the last 42 years that I've met. So what's really interesting is I've heard people scream my name, and they're like, Grant! And I'll look around and be like, and I know that nobody said it. And the reason why is because it's not like, so you hear it, but you don't. You're not using your ears to hear this. It's more inside your head. And I've dealt with that. I remember the first time I had it, I was probably in about 5th grade, maybe 6th grade, somewhere around there. And I was in the auditorium. I remember everything that was about it. I just heard my name yelled to me. And I looked around, and I mean, we were all sitting there. We weren't doing much. We were just kind of going through this, get back to school kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay. And nobody knew me. And I heard my name. I hear that all the time. Someone is yelling my name. It's happened probably at least a dozen times between then and now. And it's about once every 2-3 years I'll hear that.
Really? No, the only time that I've heard anybody close to me have that was my buddy Mike. We ended up doing an episode on that through Canada's Great Unknown, the channel Merle and I have. We did a story about Mike on that and what he had heard. And I would highly suggest you listen to that because that's kind of what happened to him. But he heard my voice in the forest. He did not, and it was emanating all around him. It wasn't coming from a specific direction. The sound was in his head, it was in his skin, it was all around him outside, and he's in the middle of nowhere where this is happening. There's no other people around. It's just him, a gravel pit, and wilderness. Grant, I'm going to get you to hold on. I want to ask you more questions if you got some time.
Yeah, I got time. I'm cleaning the garage, man.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. All right. We're going to continue on with callers into our studio tonight. We never do this. We literally never do this, but tonight we are. So we're going to continue it on here on Spaced Out Radio till the top of the hour. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller is going to be with us. We got our good man Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Stay tuned. All right, 1 second here. Look who it is. It's the champ. How are you?
Hey.
Long time no talk, one of my good listeners.
Yeah.
That's a nice mustache you got, man.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. How you been doing, champ? You're doing great.
Yeah.
Look at them sideburns. Holy cow. You're growing quite a beard there.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I can't do is connect like you can, my man. I can't connect. You got a great connection.
You've been listening to us now for what, about 4 years, 5 years? Yeah. You know what? We always like it when you're here, man. We always like it when you're here. Anytime.
Yeah.
You staying up late tonight, partying with the ladies, or what?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Good. How's your online radio station going? Going okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. That's awesome. That's awesome. How's mom and dad good?
Yeah.
The world around us is smart. We think your education should be smart too. With the FlexPath learning format from Capella University, you can set your own deadlines and leverage your experience to move forward at your pace. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. Welcome to another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper gig speeds. Say hello to the Walkers, a family of not one but 4 gagillionaires, each living up their gagillionaire life at ludicrous internet speed. First up, Anna Walker. She dominates streaming like the matriarch she is. No show ever goes unwatched under her watch.
Next episode.
Next up, Peter Walker. There's no stopping this dad bod from showing up to his virtual workout sessions.
Let's go leg day.
And finally, the Walker twins. They may look alike but couldn't internet more differently. Harry dominates his fellow online gamers while Heather group video chats with friends.
Ooh, nice background filter, Jess.
Live like a gagillionaire. Get internet that upgrades everything. AT&T Fiber, now with speeds up to 5 gigs.
Limited availability in select areas. Speeds not guaranteed. Single device wired speed. Max 4.7 gig per second. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
Excellent.
Cheers to mom and dad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know you were on hold there for a while, but we were talking about some stories. You still got ghosts hanging around?
Yeah.
Good. Good.
They treating you nice, though?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
How about them aliens? You going for any rides with the aliens there, champ?
No.
No?
No.
Hey, I know you're a big wrestling fan. Are you doing okay after Scott Hall passed away yesterday?
Yeah.
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 I know you were a big NWO guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. My favorite was when they convinced Hulk Hogan to switch on over, man. That was still my favorite, one of my favorite moments in wrestling. Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe that's 20 years ago. 22 years ago that Hogan went bad.
I remember it well.
People were literally crying when that happened. Like, no, not Hulk Hogan. Not Hulk Hogan. The champ, though, here, I mean, he'd drop an elbow on Hogan. He would totally drop an elbow on Hogan.
He'd handle him no problem now.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
a problem at all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still jealous of the mustache this guy.
I know. I can't.
And the fact is, it connects right here.
I cannot grow a mustache like that. I'm a little jealous of that.
I am definitely jealous. You rock, my man.
All right, champ, we're gonna let you go because I gotta get other people in here. But thanks for calling in. Okay. All right, we'll do it again soon. Okay.
Yay.
All right, take care, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, that's
you.
the champ. We love the champ around here. He has been listening to me for 5 years.
Oh, we need to make a T-shirt for him.
Yeah, we'll get something. Yeah, I'll have to. Hey, champ, send me your email or send me a private message with your address on it, and I'll send you an El Ovni Volador shirt. Okay?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He'll get it done for me. He'll get it done. Super
awesome.
Yeah, we'll get Champ's address. He'll email me. Love him. Love him. All right, we got about what are you drinking there? You got the buble going on?
No, it's just canned water.
Canned water.
I wish it was something better. It's death by water. So
nice. Yeah, I was a good dad on Sunday before that phone call. Got my 19-year-old daughter just wrecked on martinis. It was hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
Hold on, here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you. Thank you for tuning us on in. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, do us a favor, check our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We're taking phone calls from our fans tonight. I never do this, but hey, our first hour guest, Jesse Peak, is just healing himself up from battling COVID. And you know what? He's like, Dave, I'm not feeling well. Can we cut it down to an hour? Of course, I'm that kind of guy. I said, sure, man. And we opened up the phone lines, and we're having a good time tonight. One of our former guests, and he'll be in Vegas for our SOR fan party, Grant Baker from the beautiful state of Oregon, is here. Grant, welcome back, man.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So right before the break, man, you were talking about these glittery people. You know,
Yes.
I mean, how often are you seeing them?
It's actually, this is why I was wanting to talk to you about it. It's because they're getting more often. And it's not only the glittery people. You had a former guest on your show before, and I was able to get on the super chat and ask, hey, this is what I'm seeing. What is this? And he said it was the Greys. I've seen only one gray, and that was when I was 5 years old, and that's the last time. And of course, I have a little bit of missing time. I think I have not gotten regressed or anything like that, but it kind of makes sense because I've heard I listen to everything from Jimmy Church, who you just had on, and Nicole Sackage, and all your guests that you have. I listen to Grant Cameron, and all these great people. And the reason why I listen to it is because I'm trying to validate the things that I've seen. And it came out to me where I was like, and that's the reason why when I told you my story, I was like, hey, I think this might be real. One of the biggest things I think they have the ability to do is to change the appearance, the way they present themselves to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that guy might be right. I wish I could remember. I'm sorry. I was just cleaning my garage, so I can't go back and look and do notes and everything. But the gentleman that you were talking to, he's like, oh, that's a gray. And I'm like, that makes sense. Like, they're coming to you in a way that's not going to threaten you, scare you, or anything else. And then I go outside, and of course now I'm in a different town, and I have a body of water. I don't have a lot of iron in the soil, and I do check that, and because I believe they're kind of, they like iron, they like water, and but I've seen a few things in the sky that I can't prove that was something non-military. I live next to an Air Force base, so everything I see here is kind of subject to, are they doing something crazy? I mean, it is the second largest runway on the West Coast that I live next to. I'm literally 10 minutes away from it. And so I can't prove anything in the skies now, unfortunately. But yeah, I've been seeing a lot of, the activity is, what I want to just say is the activity is rising. I noticed a lull in it for the last year. Mm-hmm. I've had a few kind of exciting things happen, but recently it's starting to pick up. Whether that's some people's philosophy, and I've talked to other people about this, where they're like, oh, there's the war in other countries. I'm not going political at all. And they're kind of interested in what's going on. So, and literally within the last couple of weeks when those things have been happening, I've been getting a lot more activity.
Has the activity energy changed? So, like before, I mean, you being an ET experiencer, you know that feeling. Yeah. You've had paranormal. You know, that's a heavier feeling. What kind of feeling are you getting that it is?
Is flighty. Is about the only expression I can. They're not making themselves known. They're not being as apparent as they normally have been. They're not being as bold. It's more of a cautious, I would say. Like, let's say you're going into a house that you don't know. It's middle of the night. You don't have a flashlight or anything. All you have is your phone. And let's even say you have a phone without a backlight on it. And so you're just trying to use the light of the screen. And that's what it feels like. They're there, they're making themselves known, but it's more light. It's not as pressure.
I want to bring Super Duke here from World Bigfoot Radio. He's hanging on out, and his segment is coming up here soon. Super Duke, I know you are I know there's no experts in this field, but you're pretty close to being an expert in the world of cryptids, if I do say so myself. And I know you hate that term, but I'm going to use it anyways because I can. This is my show, okay?
Okay,
and
that's fine, Dave. You're allowed.
When you hear
Hey, Super Duke.
When you
Grant.
When you hear Grant talk about these glittery type people or these glittery type entities that are around, have you heard of these before?
Absolutely. And I recommend you get Bigfoot in Germany, Robert Boston, on again, because he ran into that a lot over in Germany and even filmed them a few times. And yeah, it looks a lot like the Predator thing, only it's not as pixelated looking. It's more like glittery looking. And,
exactly.
Yeah. The other thing is that it's kind of confusing at this point because we do know that there's military equipment that you can wear on you that will bend the light around you and sort of facilitate the same thing. So if you're not seeing a gigantic glittery object, it could be a human.
No, everything the last one I seen was the one that was laying next to me when I was over at my brother-in-law's house here in Klamath Falls. And I was actually just moving to this place. He works. He does. He's a nurse. The guy that flies in the helicopter and saves people. He's amazing. But I was at his house, and I actually thought there was deer on the other side of the wall. So I kept banging on the wall trying to get him to shut up. The next morning, there's no deer there. I didn't see any laydowns, no tracks, nothing. And I started getting that hard feeling of being kind of like pushed down where they want it. My wife can't move. She will literally mouth open. Her whole body is solid. I've gone past that, and I know I can move. But when I turned over, it was laying right next to me, like perpendicular to me. And kind of on its shoulder, just kind of with its head up looking at me. And I was like, dude, get out of here. I was actually annoyed because I'm trying to go to sleep. I heard the deer, try to get them to shut up, and then this happened. So I was a little bit annoyed at the same time. And I told them to go away, and I just kind of swiped through it. So when I swipe through them, though, I don't feel anything physically. I don't have a physical sensation of them. But what they do is it's actually kind of spectacular. They just kind of explode, and it's glittery, like watery.
That's not any human-made cloaking technology there. That's some sort of cryptid thing that's going on, and probably some sort of an energy being. And some people say that Bigfoot can astrally project too, and sometimes when you see orbs, that's what it is. As far as other things, I've heard all kinds of weird things. But it more than likely it's some other thing or cryptid.
So let me ask you a question real quick. Now that I got you here, when I saw Bigfoot, did you hear that story?
No, I actually missed a little. Were you just telling it because I was like connecting everything up, so I missed part of what you were talking about tonight.
No, this is when I interviewed him a few weeks ago.
Not sure, but I will say one thing. You're in Klamath now. Are you aware of the fact that extremely heavy sighting area for Bigfoot?
Yes. In fact, about an hour and a half away, or 105 miles as the crow flies, Grants Pass, their national, like if you go to Grants Pass, they have a huge Bigfoot and a caveman guy that it's a statue. So, I mean, it's all around us. But I used to live in Shasta County for most of my life.
Okay.
And that's where
That's another real paranormal hotspot there. You've not only got all kinds of Bigfoot sightings, you got UFOs and the Lemurians that supposedly live inside of Mount Shasta and all that kind of stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. I'm taking a trip to Mount Shasta here soon to find out a little bit more about that. The only unfortunate thing about the Lemurians is it seems to be a solidarity thing where you got to be out there and you kind of got to be in distress and whatnot. And I know about the mounds. I know a lot about Mount Shasta. I can drive 5 minutes away from my house because I have hill between me and Shasta. But I have not moved from Mount Shasta. I mean, I've always been within 45 minutes of that place. And the things that I've seen there is quite ridiculous. And in fact, I was going to tell you where to find the orbs because I know exactly where to find those. And if you want to come down here, I will literally take the week off, and I own my own business, so I can do whatever I want. But I will show you something that every single person that's ever been there will hear it, see it, feel it. It's very interesting. I don't know what to call it. I don't even know how to specify it. I had friends that have seen the orbs, but Bigfoot, I've seen him within 30 feet.
Yeah. Well, it could actually happen. One of my research team members wants to go and make a little side trip over to Hell's Canyon and a couple places further west of us. And I might be able to convince him to drive even yet further over to where you are. So,
Hell's Canyon, where's that at?
Idaho.
Okay.
Snake River Canyon.
Okay. All right.
It's the place that Evel Knievel was going to jump and his rocket cycle didn't make it all the way.
Gotcha. So I actually was a Type 2 wildland firefighter for a few years there, back in 06, 7, and 8. Yeah, 6, 7, and 8. And we went to Hell's Canyon, and we actually fought a fire in the snow. Believe it or not, it was kind of weird. But anyways, there's some very interesting things up there, and I'm very familiar with the Snake River. Snake River goes through Oregon as well.
Yep.
And
I had two guests on my show that both live in that area. They're both pastors, and they not only do cryptid investigations, but of course they have to deal with exorcising obnoxious entities and whatnot. And those guys, between the two of them, had so many stories. It was a 4-part show.
Wow.
I'm in the right spot.
Yeah, that's the Magic Valley. That's a really creepy place. And they had one of the things they were telling me about that was very disturbing is there's a cave down actually in the Snake River Canyon down there that they've known about for years and years and years, and people avoid it. And a family went there camping and went in the cave, and they all disappeared and never came back again. And especially since then, everybody has been avoiding it. And there's a whole series of these lava tubes that are all connected that are just, who knows how long they are. Nobody's ever explored all of them. This is one of them. And they call this particular cave the Cave of the Whistling Bear.
Wow.
The Whistling Bear.
Yeah, I know something that looks like a bear that whistles. It's called a gugwe, and it'll eat your face.
You're just so direct with that. Hi, I'm a gugwe. I'm going to eat your face off.
Yeah, that's one of the nicknames for them is face eaters. Literally, that's one of the nicknames for those things.
Wow.
And so that's a good place to avoid. If you hear anything, name of like Cave of the Whistling Bear or something, avoid that area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I definitely will. I do have a question for you though, and I've asked this quite a few times. So there's a place over in Grants Pass. Of course, Grants Pass has a lot to do with the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, however you want to call it. And in fact, I'm the only one. If you actually go there, and it's in Cave Junction, Oregon. If you go there, it's kind of a printing shop / Sasquatch Bigfoot shop. It's kind of a 2-in-1. And if you look through their book, and they have a map there with all these pins, and I have my pin there. I am the only one that has descriptions, days, times, location, everything written in, because they have this. It's a huge almanac, and you have the ability to fill in all these spaces, and I filled in every one of them. The one thing that I noticed about what I filled in that was different with everybody else was my Sasquatch or Bigfoot was gray. He wasn't fat, like, the oh gosh, what's that video that everybody looks at with the one that's walking? It's a female and looks back, and
Patty.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Patty film.
Yeah.
Yes. So mine looked nothing like that. It was gray. It was built. He was tall. Of course, I was 20 years younger, but 30 years now. But he was very tall, and the way he moved was so graceful. You can look at ice skaters and be like, I can hear your ice skates. This guy could run through Manzanita, and I barely even heard him. I had to track him with my eyes. Have you ever come across anything like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the ways you can tell the real video from the fake video. When you've got one actually moving, they don't bob up and down like humans do when we walk.
No.
They look like they're gliding. Their head stays at the same level all the time.
Exactly.
And they can move very fast and not make any noise.
It's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Grant, I'm going to let you go here because we have another call coming in. Thank you for joining us and sharing those stories. But I'm going to make sure that we get you hooked up with Merle and Jacob and Ross, and we'll try and get a team down there. By the way, I timed it from my house to yours, 14 hours and 18 minutes.
Oh, I'm a little far away.
You are.
But I will see you in Vegas.
Yes, we'll make it happen. I think Ross Allison is going to be in Vegas with us for the SOR fan party, and if he is, we'll get together because I know they love road trips, guys. I know they love road trips, and we'll make something happen for you, okay? All right. Thank you, Grant. And we're going to bring in Uncle Dale and his beautiful Power Stash here. And Uncle Dale's Power Stash, by the way, brought to you by every taco stand in Austin, Texas. How are you, Uncle Dale? We can't hear you. You're going to have to turn your microphone up. I don't know where you went there, but we cannot hear you.
The screen moved.
Yeah, he's just working on it right now. But while we're waiting for Uncle Dale, those glittery things, man, that really has me interesting. That has me real interested.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. Welcome to another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper-gig speeds. Say hello to the Walkers, a family of not one but 4 Gagillionaires, each living up their Gagillionaire life at ludicrous internet speed. First up, Anna Walker. She dominates streaming like the matriarch she is. No show ever goes unwatched under her watch.
Next episode.
Next up, Peter Walker. There's no stopping this dad bod from showing up to his virtual workout sessions.
Let's go leg day.
And finally, the Walker twins. They may look alike but couldn't internet more differently. Harry dominates his fellow online gamers while Heather group video chats with friends.
Ooh, nice background filter, Jess.
Live like a Gagillionaire. Get internet that upgrades everything. AT&T Fiber, now with speeds up to 5 gigs.
Limited availability in select areas. Speeds not guaranteed. Single device wired speed. Max 4.7 gig per second. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Or as we like to call it, the can't have just one deal. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McGriddles, McChicken biscuit, chicken McGriddles, or crispy hash browns. Want 2 sausage biscuits? Buy one, get one for $1. Want a sausage biscuit and hash browns? That's cool too. Choose more of what you love. Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
Yeah, the only reason I even stumbled on that thing is because my first sighting apparently was one of those things, and it never, any Bigfoot report or anything that I heard, they never described that. And then I started finding these other weird reports and went, wait, what's going on here? There's some other thing running around. So then, yeah, dug into it, and the what do they call it? The Confederation, 2 tribes, Penobscot and Passamaquoddy, over on the East Coast, Micmac Confederation, were the ones that actually named it. And then I started branching out from there and looking at other nearby tribes and what they had name-wise, and
Right.
they all had the double or triple thing going on where they had a name that was obviously Bigfoot,
Right.
but they would have another or maybe even two more names of these other weird things.
Right. Let's try and get Uncle Dale back in here because he may have got. Are you there? Well, I can't hear you. Is your microphone off? Are your headphones turned on? The headphones are on. I don't know what's happening. Look at that mustache, though, of Uncle Dale. I wish our radio audience could see this because that is just the perfect pirate stash with the chin hair going down. He's got the Elizondo thing going on. And you know what? We love our Uncle Dale here. He's been a long-time fan of the show. And I don't know what's happening. We were just communicating on StreamYard with him on the weekend, and I don't know what the heck is going on here. I don't think it's on my end. Let me check my end. Is it in your mic settings? No, your mic settings are good. We got you cranked on up there. I don't know what it is. You might want to check on StreamYard. Take yourself out. Check yourself in the settings on StreamYard on the bottom bar, Dale, and see if your microphone in the audio section is hooked up to your headset. That might be what it is. So, apparently it is. I don't know what's going on. But I don't read hand signals or I don't read lips very well. I really don't. And I'm a little upset about this. I wanted Uncle Dale to be here. I got all excited. Like Uncle Dale was going to join us. The best part about it for our YouTube audience, if you're watching in here, is we get to just stare at that power stash. That's the type of power stash that the ladies walk by and say, "Ooh, Uncle Dale, I want to rub that. I know I'm going to get good luck right through tax time." I know that. I know that.
For the radio audience that can't see him, if you put the Three Musketeers outfit on this guy, he would be D'Artagnan.
Oh, total D'Artagnan. Total D'Artagnan. Total D'Artagnan. But it is kind of cool. But I apologize, Uncle Dale. I don't know what's going on in your end there. But the beauty of live radio as we speak, and Uncle Dale waved goodbye and good night. But, man, what a beautiful mustache. What a beautiful mustache. You know what? Believe it or not, Duke, so we got about 2 minutes left. There are a number of people out there who've actually sent me private messages saying, "Why do you always talk about hair or a mustache or a beard or something like that? It's weird. Why do you do that?" And my answer usually is, because I can. Seriously. Like, are we to the point in society now where we cannot, just have some fun, where we got to be so wound up and serious all the time? Like, literally. It doesn't happen much anymore, but I know it's weird, but why not? Why do we have to be straight up? We could just have some fun. You know what I'm saying, Duke?
Yeah, life is too short to be boringly serious all the time.
Oh.
And speaking of not boring or not serious, it was so awesome watching you on Jimmy Church's show and then watching Jimmy on your show last night and seeing the contrast in the two interviewing styles. And I was just sitting there the whole time grinning, going, this is like a very rare experience where the host and the guest have both been on my show. Although Dave is up on Jimmy because he's been on twice. Jimmy's only been on once.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I had a great time. And that was really, believe it or not, the second time Jimmy and I have talked. We talked once on the phone a week previous. Everything else was done online. And then we got together on the air. And you know what? It felt very comfortable. Jimmy is a pro. He is someone who knows how to ask questions, who knows how to work a microphone, knows how to work the audience. And, I mean, there was some humor in there. There was some serious talk in there, but it was just a couple of old radio guys going in. And the funny part about it is I can't believe how much him and I actually have in common from, obviously the love of guitars. He's way more. We were both sports reporters, it just a lot in common. And now we go in different directions with the woo, but we both love this topic very much. We're going to come back in hour 3 with the Swamp Dweller, and Super Duke's going to continue with us on Spaced Out Radio with the Cryptid Report. All right, we're clear.
Right on.
Let me delete that track. The Swamp tonight is about 6 minutes 49 seconds.
Well, luckily for you, I have a myriad of mountain giants to relate tonight, mountain giant stories. And the other thing that I'd like to bring up, and here's some serendipity and synchronicity for you. There's 2 big words.
Oh, I like that.
Your former guest, Robin McRae, who's been on your show twice, was just on my show Sunday, and one of the things she was presenting was that she just put out a MUFON report, which they're calling a Class 1. Recently, her son-in-law was on her porch filming UFOs at night.
No way!
And the video is very spectacularly good video, which is why they were so impressed by it. So here during one of the breaks, if you want to show your audience, it's on the latest video. It's at 39 minutes.
Why don't we do that when instead of going to the 8 Ball tonight? Why don't we do it after that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you show it during the break, you can, the YouTube audience sees it, and there's no narration or anything. It's just pictures and video. But it's free use pictures and video. So if you show it during a break, they can actually hear the video too.
Okay. Let me come back here in about a minute, Duke. You hang out with the audience. I got to go use the boys' room.
Okay, and then when he comes back, I got to go do the same thing. So, hey, everybody, if you want questions or anything, quick, post them. I'm watching chat. I agree, Stu. Isn't that cool? And Jimmy is one of those people, he's not only really great at interviewing people, he's also a great guest. And, he stays right on top of it. He's really fun to listen to, tells the story very way more than adequately. So yeah, he's a blast. I hope they have more collaborations between Dave and Jimmy coming up here. Okay, Zen. Let's just hope he doesn't get mugged by El Ovni Volador while he's in there. That happens sometimes. Greg, they come from mommies. Race fan, I have not heard any recent ones from Washington State, no. But they're happening over there all the time. I'm just not paying that much attention to, reports on a day-by-day basis because I'm so busy with other things. I really don't have that much time to pay attention to it. If you're interested in reports, of course, you've got the BFRO database. And for the unbiased, no agenda Bigfoot reports, there's a website called squatchable.com. And they've got everything, as far as I know, from the BFRO's database and a lot of their own stuff, too. And they organize it by state and by county. So you can search a particular state and county to see if there's been any reports in your particular area. Giorgio Tsoukalos does his hairstyle by hanging upside down like a bat when he's sleeping at night. Ray, what do you think of Expedition Bigfoot? It's a TV show. It's scripted. It's not real. Raz, would I go one-on-one with a Bigfoot? You mean like fight one? No human could fight a Bigfoot and win. A baby Bigfoot could rip us apart. All right, good night, Enzo. Night, Kira.
Got a good glow of the northern lights going out here.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, we were supposed to have that little burp from the sun hitting us last night and today, so we were supposed to get some northern lights.
Hey, Uncle Dale is back.
Yeah, I wiggled some cables and sacrificed a small insect, and I think it's working now.
Okay, what we will do then is once we get through Swamp Dweller, we'll come back with Uncle Dale, and then Duke will take over here, okay?
All right, buddy, that good, because I'm going to go have a cigarette.
All right, you go. Uncle Dale, I'm going to put you back in the back room, okay?
Great, thanks.
All right. Uncle Dale is back, everybody. The Power Stash lives. All he did was give a couple of these, and holy cow, it just started working. All right. Paula W., looking lovely tonight. How are you?
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Nopathia. Nopathia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is that time once again where we head into the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller comes on in for another spooky story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. I'm from somewhere in the southeastern United States. This story isn't like most you've read or heard. This wasn't a sighting, it was a sound. A horrific sound. So, I was in my deer stand waiting. It was about 4:30 in the afternoon. I've never gotten a deer out of that stand or seen one, but it was getting dark, so I got my rifle ready, because that's around the time the deer come out. So I'm sitting there, and I hear what sounds like a train horn blaring in the woods, but it was deeper in pitch. This sound shook the stand and me to the core, but the worst part was what came after the sound of sticks breaking. I've heard every noise in the woods from squirrels to hogs, but that sound was like a herd of buffalo stampeding through the woods. The strangest part was, I asked my uncle and my grandfather if they've ever heard the noise, or if they even heard the noise that day since they were out there with me. They had heard nothing that day and said they have never heard anything like it. So, Then we headed out, and I haven't heard that noise ever since, but I will report back if I ever have another experience. I know my story was short, but thank you for sharing it anyway. This story takes place around 2 or 3 years ago near the border of Louisiana and Texas. My uncle owns property around that area and uses it as a hunting ground. I've been there multiple times in the past because he needed help clearing out trees. I have even hunted there once and was able to nab a nice doe. On the morning of the encounter, we arrived at the place at around 4 a.m. This campsite had an opening that went to a small little trail. This is where my uncle and I set up our tent. The opening leads to 3 main clearings, all leading to feeders. As you may be well aware of, hunting asks for a lot of patience and avid listening, and we did just that. Nothing out of the ordinary happens until around 3 hours after we had arrived. The 20-degree weather was beginning to warm up, but not enough to keep my hands and feet from shivering. The woods are a beautiful sight to behold. Nature is the main reason why I loved going hunting in the first place, after all. I stared down the scope of my rifle and scanned the area, searching for any woodland creatures and examining the beauty around me. As I look around, something catches the eye. Mind you, if I hadn't been looking around so much through the scope, I wouldn't have seen this thing. It is hard to explain, but it looked like a piece of wood with the proportions of the upper part of a torso and a head. At the time, it didn't strike me as something out of the ordinary. It simply looked like a part of the wood's foliage, yet I was for some reason drawn to it. I even had a funny thought that if I looked away and looked back, it would have changed positions. Due to this random thought, I checked up on the thing every 10 to 15 minutes. Every time I would move my crosshair over it, the scenery seemingly remained the same. Around an hour later, I continued my newfound routine. Once I looked over to where the thing was supposed to be at, I noticed it was gone. After looking over to the same spot of the woods for around an hour, I knew that particular spot very well, and knew for sure that that thing had just disappeared. I'm sure some listeners will wonder why this is a worthy story to even tell. What I would like you all to take note of is that that thing did not move an inch. It remained completely still for over an hour, and I hadn't seen the slightest bit of change. If it were alive, why would it have just stayed like that? The appearance was very off-putting as well, now that I think about it. The more I try to picture it, the less it makes sense. It was sort of out of focus. Maybe this is why I was drawn to it, the slight difference between the rest of the scenery. Again, I would like to preface how hard it is to even see this thing. I was really looking around the place and just so happened to look directly at this thing. If anybody has any idea what the thing could be, let me know in the comments down below. I am a child of the mountains. My hometown was completely mountainous, so I spent most of my childhood running through the forest and stuff. And one event that happened when I was 10 kinda remained unexplained. I was on top of the ridge several feet above my house when I started hearing my biological father yelling. I'm adopted but was allowed to see him frequently. In our very redneck area, he had a very distinctive voice with no accent, so it's really not possible to confuse him for anybody else. His voice was coming from the other side of the ridge, which is a bit weird in retrospect because nobody lived over that way and everybody avoided that area. Even when hunting, we'd go around. The terrain was just too bad to deal with. Lots of thick brush and sudden drops. I started hearing him calling my name, so I started going down anyway. It's not a good area, but I've been through it a time or two during the winter when less vegetation means easier navigation. The voice wasn't really getting closer, but it was getting louder, and then this feeling of dread washed over me as I suddenly remembered my father was on a business trip to Germany. I've never run so fast. I didn't realize it until I got to the other side of the ridge, but the forest had been completely silent on the other side of the ridge, which never happens unless there are predators around or the wind picks up. Normally, I think I was just getting too close to a black bear or something, but the voice obviously makes it confusing. Unlike a number of stories like this I've heard over the years, the experience didn't really stop me from going into the woods. It made me more curious about the other side of the ridge, resulting in the occasional expeditions into it. Though, I never heard or saw anything else, and eventually the mountains itself were destroyed for a new highway, probably around 2008, 8-ish years later, going right through the center of the place where the voice was coming from.
All right, another great addition from our man, the Swamp Dweller, and you can find him on YouTube at youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. And before we get to Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio to continue with the Cryptid Report, we got Uncle Dale and his Power Stash back here.
What's the big deal? Where can you get pizza, bread twists, specialty chicken, and more for just $5.99 each?
Is it at Domino's?
He hands off hand-tossed pizza and a marble cookie brownie. He's going!
There's a lot of variety on the radio and at Domino's too, where you can
Mix and match 2 or more. $5.99 each at Domino's.
2-item minimum. Pan pizza, bone-in wings, and bread bowls will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary.
Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Or as we like to call it, the can't have just one deal. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McGriddles, McChicken biscuit, chicken McGriddles, or crispy hash browns. Want 2 sausage biscuits? Buy one, get one for $1. Want a sausage biscuit and hash browns? That's cool too. Choose more of what you love. Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
On Spaced Out Radio, all he had to do was put a little lube on the mustache to make his microphone work, and hot dang it did. Uncle Dale, how you doing, man?
Hey, awesome, dude. How are you doing, Dave?
I am great. Thank you for joining us. You got a story?
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff over the years that like was a rocket, interest went up and then like thud. You never heard anything about it after that. So I want to get your take on a couple things.
Okay.
Hybrids, alien human hybrids called hybrids. That was a thing for a while with art.
You know what?
Any take on that at all?
You know what? I do recall that hybrid's name, but I think the way everything has gone is everything is kind of morphed into the hybrid and the hybridization program, that I think they've eliminated the analogy as more people have come out to be hybrid mothers, hybrid fathers, hybrid. You don't hear a lot of people coming out saying, I'm a hybrid. We don't hear that. But you do hear a lot of people talking about, going up in spacecraft and visiting their hybrid children or having hybrid children or, having their semen taken or their eggs taken in order to create these whatever the hell they are. So I think it's one of those part of the phenomena that's just kind of morphed into the hybrid zone.
That makes sense. Okay. You remember Mad Mike Markham and his time machine with the fields that were rotating and all the electronics going off and the laser beams?
Yes.
So we heard from him a couple times on Art Show, and then poof. I mean, did he take off again for another 10 or 15 years into the future, or have you heard anything about that?
Mad Mike Markham, okay. I do recall hearing there was an article about him, about a year or two ago, where he's still flaunting the same story. Whether or not he is still around or doing interviews, I think he kind of had his moment in the sun when Art Bell was around and he felt safe with Art. With the amount of shows that there are now, we don't get a lot of those, Streetlight Mike type of people anymore. Right?
I was just going to ask you about that.
Okay.
What?
So for people who, I'll fill people in here. Sometimes you get real beauties on this show, and a couple of the memorable ones were going to be the one where this gentleman kept on calling in aliens at any time he wanted because they would chase off the men in black. And he was telling us a story about how, he got cornered in a cul-de-sac after a high-speed chase by the men in black, and he called in the aliens, and the spaceship appeared from over top of his car. The men in black went running. That was a beauty. And I apologize, I don't even remember the guy's name. But then there was Streetlight Mike, who came on in, and he had a 23-second episode of his streetlight that he claimed was a UFO. And Uncle Dale actually went on and spent his hard-earned $2 to buy his book. And this guy was literally stalking myself, Everett Thiemer, Rich Giordano, and Mark D'Antonio from MUFON about his case. And everybody who went through it told him it was a street lamp that he caught. All right? Because you can see the street lamp right there. Like, there's on the video that was posted, you could see the street lamp right there. But he was convinced it was aliens, and then he did all of this photoshopping on it and zooming on in and changing all sorts of photo light synthesis and all that kind of stuff to make it look like there was actually beings inside the light bulb, which were probably moths or some sort of bug. But we ended up doing a 2.5-hour show on a street lamp video of whatever it was. I don't know. It was beautiful radio.
It was an awesome show, Dave. It was the most I've laughed in one evening in months.
Oh man, that was just, it was a rock star performance. And I don't like to belittle or bemoan our guests, but that was one where I can honestly say, if you go back in the archives and find it, it is well worth it. He never did really answer my question on whether or not he'd been taken by aliens. I mean, that's where I really wanted to go with it. Because I'll be honest with you, Dale, I think he saw something that night. I do. I don't think he caught it on film. I think that he was trying to play off on the fact that he did see something, but he didn't capture it on tape, so he was trying to play off the street light in order to be it. I mean, we have, his scientist who was looking on it, his trigonometry scientist.
Yes.
He had a trigonometry science from the CIA looking at it. Well, everybody knows that there's no such thing as a trigonometry scientist. It was an interesting night. It was a very, very interesting night. And we really created some good radio that night. We really created some good radio.
Everybody go back in the archives, because this is an amazing show. It just, especially if, you're feeling a little down and you need a little something to pick you up, this will do it. It's awesome.
I got to ask you, Uncle Dale, you've been a fan of late night radio for a number of years. And you are someone who, I have a group of listeners that is very private. I call it our focus group that Uncle Dale is actually a part of. And this is where I kind of bounce a lot of radio ideas off of certain listeners that have been with our program for a long time. For you, out of everything, not that what we do or anything, but of all the radio that you heard, what is a subject that us hosts are missing? because I know every host is different. Well, I'm not a real big science guy. I know you are, but I'm not a big science guy, or there's going to be hosts out there who aren't big on the woo or aren't big on certain topics. But what do you think we're missing?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that goes to the heart of a theory that I've had for a while. And that theory is that I think whenever anything from, let's say, out there, let's say there's a box, okay, and the box is what we understand as the material world, and physics operates within the box, right? If you're going to accelerate something that has a mass, you have to push it with a force. Okay, this is science Bob stuff. My theory is that if anything outside the box, like a spirit or a dimensional being or a vibration or whatever produces an effect inside the box, it has to do business with physics. Okay, so that means if a ghost scratches you, it has to actually produce a physical thing that scratches you. I've never heard that discussed, but that's a really awkward subject to get into because now everybody has vocabulary. What do you call a force, and what's a vibration? And it crosses the streams between woo and like with UFOs. Are they interdimensional? Are they vibrational? Are they supernatural? Or are they nuts and bolts? Right? It kind of crosses that stream. So I haven't heard that, but then again, probably everybody but me would fall asleep during that show.
Oh, I hear you, man. I hear you, and I fully understand what you're saying there. But anything else? Got any other good juice for us here?
Well, just one briefly. So it was it was either 95 or 96. I was out cleaning my garage and listening to Art Bell on the radio, and he started talking about the Trumbull County, Ohio UFO incident. And this was an incident where we had dispatch tapes, police dispatch tapes from like 6 or 8 different agencies that called in, and you had police and their cruisers going out and investigating, and you had this phenomena in the sky happening over multiple counties for like 3 different hours. And I heard that on the Art Bell show, and before then, I was a like woo doesn't exist guy. UFOs, no, that's just stupid. And just the whole. And I was hearing that on Art Bell, and I was supposed to be doing something, and at the end, I was just sitting down on a stool staring at the radio with all this stuff playing in my head. You're listening to the eyewitness accounts, and these are police people, right? This is not just some guy off the street, not that that's a problem, but people we expect to have special abilities to observe accurately. And they were talking about this UFO stuff, and it converted me over to the things are stranger around here than you used to think. And so I haven't heard anything since then in the last like 10 years. And right. I wonder if that just came and went. Or
well, I'm gonna tell you this. You heard me earlier in the show say I had a very important phone call with somebody who called me up late on Sunday, and I'm not going to give the name up, but this person is very connected to the governmental side of what's going on, and he said something to me very profound that kind of sat with me. What if you, me, Duke, who's here, or everybody else who is listening to this show and everybody on this planet is the phenomena? And we are creating the phenomena around us because we are all part of the phenomena, which means that our spirituality, as we only got about a minute left, our spirituality, our thought process, our souls, everything is all tied to what is going on with aliens, UFOs, paranormal, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, psychic phenomena, ghosts, spirit activity, portals, everything. Because everything is the phenomena. And I have a feeling, and this is just me, I'm not going off this person's words, but I have a feeling that this is what's being studied, and this is what causes a lot of fear on what's going on, because if everybody is part of the phenomena, how do you control it? You can't. And you'll never figure it out.
Wow.
Think about that.
And this is why I listen to you, Dave. Right? Well, one of the reasons, because, like, okay, it's going to take me a few days to even get my head around this idea.
Well, you start to think about it. We're going to go to break. Super Duke and the Cryptid Reporter next. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We love it when Uncle Dale is here. Remember, if you're in Austin, Texas, and you see Uncle Dale, rub his power stash for good luck right through tax time. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. That one knocked me on my ass.
That was a blast, dude. That was fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That one knocked me on my ass when I was told that on Sunday.
So it's not supernatural, it's natural in like natural prime or something.
Natural phenomena. But the problem is most people haven't figured it out within themselves yet. Right? Because half the population is five senses.
Right.
Okay.
At least half.
Yeah. The other half is about trying to figure out what the hell is going on and why weird shit is happening to me.
Right.
All right. But this is a major rabbit hole that I plan on learning more of.
Yes, let's go there.
Right?
Yes.
And I'll tell you, when that was said to me, I look at everything Grant Cameron is doing, and everything Grant Cameron is studying. Namely, he's more into the UFO side of things and the consciousness side.
Right.
Okay? That's what we're talking about. Grant, 100% way ahead of his time. 100%.
Loving it.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, thanks, man. This was fun.
No problem, Uncle Dale. Thanks for listening. I love it when you come on.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Reminds me of talking to Art. It really does. And do you know, I got on late one night, Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about Tebby star. Okay? And was it a Dyson sphere and all, that kind of stuff?
Right.
And this is the same kind of thing. So anyway, I'll get out of your hair.
Much love, buddy.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Uncle Dale and his power stash. Isn't that a beautiful mustache, Duke?
Amazing. Yeah, I like what you were just talking about, too, because there's a bunch of things that tie in with that, too. Yeah. There was an old physics theory called spooky action at a distance, now renamed quantum entanglement. Then there is the 100th monkey experiment, and then there are tulpas. Mm-hmm. And between those three, that explains everything you just talked about.
Yeah. How can you manifest a tulpa if it's not real?
That's one of the peculiar things about humans. We seem to be one of the beings, since we're in this vibrational level and we have these other abilities we don't know about, that if enough people start believing in something, it becomes real.
Right.
And that's the same thing with the 100th monkey experiment. 100 monkeys learned how to do this one thing, and all of a sudden, all the monkeys on the islands nearby that have never been on that island and not in communication with them all start doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Collective unconscious.
Right? It's amazing. It's amazing. Let's say hello. We got a few other people who just came in. Sage Necro, how you doing? Good to have you here. Thanks for coming on in. And who else joined us late here? Terrible Times, thank you for joining us. Mystics Walk, always a pleasure when you're here. And, I always feel bad. Like last night's show, I didn't have time to say hello to everybody. And, oh, Super Quest. How you doing, bud? I didn't have time to say hello to everybody. I always feel guilty about that. I know I shouldn't, but I do. I kind of feel guilty about it when it happens, because I like being able to say hi to everybody in the chat room.
I don't have that luxury. I'm not live on the. I'm just like live chat room, so I have to type furiously as people come in.
Yeah.
It's really hard on my old crippled fingers.
Yeah. Sovereign Farts. Yes, I do know Johnny Enoch. River Dogma, how you doing, brother? Good to have you here. Duke, if we eat up the news time, I'm okay with that.
No problem, man. Just tell me how long you want me to go. I could probably cover close to a half an hour with what I got just sitting here tonight.
There's Super Shane. Where's Merle? Hey, there's the scowling Greg O'Brien. We love Greg around here. He's awesome. One of the good dudes in this field, Greg O'Brien, everyone. Greg likes a wave, so make sure you wave at him. He always waves back. Tony D, good morning to you in the UK. And I want to say a big thank you tonight to Todd, Steve, Michael, Rob, Doug, Gary, and Obi Flett for the amazing super chats. It's awesome when you guys help us on out like that. We really do appreciate the love and support. Thank you to all our new subscribers. Mark Ford, how you doing? Welcome to our chat. And thank you to all our new subscribers who've hit the thumbs up, rang the bell, hit subscribe. And, of course, all the veterans out there, you always have a safe home here in our chat room. So thank you so much for your service and dedication, and thank you for joining us in our chat. Here we go with the final half hour. Oh my gosh, sometimes the fans just make me laugh. I was trying to hold on. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. And so... that
is one of the best comments ever.
The Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is here, and one of our listeners, Doug Shelby, goes and puts up a comment in our chat room and says, "I've got okay long hair, not as good as Dave's, in brackets, grr, but my facial hair is scraggly and mostly gray, and it looks like I stepped in dog poo." Sometimes you just get caught off guard with things that make you laugh. And that's exactly what's happened. So if you're listening in on the radio side, come join us for the fun sometime on our YouTube channel where we are live and hanging on out. It always is a blast, and so thank you. A reminder to all of you, thank you for tuning in. All of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get to Super Duke here.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. Welcome to another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper-gig speeds. Say hello to the Walkers, a family of not one but 4 Gagillionaires, each living up their Gagillionaire life at ludicrous internet speed. First up, Anna Walker. She dominates streaming like the matriarch she is. No show ever goes unwatched under her watch.
Next episode.
Next up, Peter Walker. There's no stopping this dad bod from showing up to his virtual workout sessions.
Let's go leg day.
And finally, the Walker twins. They may look alike but couldn't internet more differently. Harry dominates his fellow online gamers while Heather group video chats with friends.
Ooh, nice background filter, Jess.
Live like a Gagillionaire. Get internet that upgrades everything. AT&T Fiber, now with speeds up to 5 gigs.
Limited availability in select areas. Speeds not guaranteed. Single device wired speed. Max 4.7 gig per second. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Or as we like to call it, the can't have just one deal. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McGriddles, McChicken biscuit, chicken McGriddles, or crispy hash browns. Want 2 sausage biscuits? Buy one, get one for $1. Want a sausage biscuit and hash browns? That's cool too. Choose more of what you love. Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
All right, Super Duke is always coming on in with another interesting take from the cryptid world history lesson tonight on the Cryptid Report. Super Duke, how you been doing at World Bigfoot Radio?
Doing great, Dave. I've been keeping really busy, and a lot of my friends have been contacting me going, hey, I'm working on this documentary. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with you guys? You got like 5 of you that are all doing different documentaries all at the same time. Well, this will be fun. You're putting out stuff I'll want to watch. So that's really cool.
You know what? That brings up a good point. Everybody and their dog seems to be doing documentaries these days. Seriously. I
know.
I'm going to go ask my dogs right now why they aren't filming any documentaries.
Well, one of them's actually leaking parts of it already to get people's attention to it, and I was just blown away by it because these guys are like professional, super high-grade TV production, that kind of stuff. And the people that were doing the show actually had to ask permission of the researchers. It wasn't like, oh, hey, we're super cool, you want to be on our show. It was like, oh, mighty researchers, can we film you? And they had more than one company that was, in competition to want to do this stuff with them, and they just picked the one that they liked the most, basically. And they got a good pick there. Those guys are doing turn out some really interesting stuff there, really high quality.
You know what I don't like about the whole documentary thing, okay, is this. I think anybody should do it. If you got a great idea and you've got a real concept of what you want to film, go for it. It never hurts to have a number of documentaries or podcasts or YouTube channels out there. But you know what? This is what I don't like. There was a documentary put out on Sasquatch about a year and a half ago. And the director and producer is a very good friend of mine and of this show. I was actually talking to him earlier today. But he brought on a couple of Bigfoot researchers out of Washington State. And I actually called him. We did an interview on it. And they came on here, and they were, all of a sudden, I'd interviewed them about 8 months previous, and they were all, open to everything that kind of goes on with Sasquatch. And the minute they did this documentary, all of a sudden, they were turned into like know-it-alls. And, there was no woo in Sasquatch. There was no, mysterious thing. This is a flesh and blood creature. And they weren't saying this before, 8 months previous when they were on the show. And I was so upset by their change of attitude just because they were the stars of a documentary on Sasquatch that about a week later I called up my buddy and I said, look, this has been bugging the crap out of me for about a week now. But I said, I need to talk to you about this. The guys you brought on are liars. And you can go back, listen to my interview with them regarding what they thought of Sasquatch. And now they're acting like a bunch of know-it-alls because you put them on film. I said, I don't like that. I don't like that. I think that's very fake. And my friend was very, very accommodating with it. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can't pull the documentary. You can't pull them out of something that's already been filmed, edited, and put out there. But it was good for him to know that type of feedback from somebody like us who did that. And there's a lot of that, Duke.
Unfortunately, yeah. There's a few real deals out there, and there's a lot of wannabes, honestly. There's people out there that just want to make a name for themselves. And, I know all about this and that and the other thing. And, well, where's your research when you're out there looking at it? You got any witnesses that were with you, maybe? That's kind of where the buck stops. Talk is cheap. Show me your evidence. That's what my show is basically about. It's more like a TV show, mini documentary every week. I have somebody on there, and they're showing their evidence and talking about the experiences that let them gather it. And, tend to lean more heavily toward believing them when they can actually produce something that I can look at and go, well, that looks real to me. And I've seen them in the field more than once, and that looks real to me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, one quick shout out here before you give a story here. Thank you to Kat on my team. Okay, Kat is like my internet pit bull. So here she is searching around for some videos to watch, and she's over on BitChute. And she finds a channel that is monetized that has 149 episodes of Spaced Out Radio on it.
Boo.
149. Guess who started copyright strikes today?
Go, Dave.
Yeah.
Right on, buddy.
And hopefully, like I'd never signed up for BitChute before, so I signed up for BitChute, and the first action I'm doing is I'm striking this channel. Striking 149 episodes that this dude is monetized on, making money off of what we do here.
Yeah.
Not happy about that.
I'm on BitChute and Rumble and all those platforms, and actually got my whole catalog plus stuff that YouTube has banned is over on BitChute. But I had one guy contact me on Rumble, and he's got a channel that's kind of a best of everybody else's channel, and he wanted permission to share a couple of videos from my channel on his channel. Basically, just links them onto his channel, so I still get all the views for it. And so I gave him permission, and one of the deciding factors is I went and took a look at his channel and went, "There's that video I saw a year ago that disappeared. He found it. He found that weird video I wanted to find again." Okay, this guy's got a really good channel. He gets to use my content, But it's like I don't think he's monetized or not, but it just it links to my playlist, and so I get all the views on it, so I enjoy that.
Well, I know that this guy wasn't linked to us because number one, he didn't ask permission, but number two, we're not on BitChute.
Yeah,
so,
I am. So
yeah,
and this was on Rumble, not BitChute, so a little different.
I'm literally going to have just when I get rid of a bunch of menial tasks, I get a bunch more. I get a bunch more. So now I'm going to have to play copyright guy going on. Duke, we got about 12 minutes here. What do you got for us?
No, I got enough to fill a half an hour here. Let's get going. In the keeping with the same general theme that we have been on for a few weeks now, which is let's tell Dave about highly dangerous cryptids that happen to live near him. We're continuing on with Chapter 10, Giants in the American West. And this is from Mark A. Hull and Lauren Coleman's book, True Giants, where the two of them got together. And Mark A. Hull, by the way, now deceased, another Minnesotan, same state I came from. He had kind of collected all these weird reports that didn't really fit in with common Bigfoot reports. And so they compiled them from all over the world in this one book. And a lot of these are what I refer to as mountain giants. Or, if you happen to be over in Europe, you would call them a mountain troll. So, let you guys check out a little bit of the stuff they got in here. And he's got really short versions of some really classic stories in here. The place of giants in the western area of Canada and the United States stands out from all other reports of hairy man. The size of these upright primates and their correspondingly huge footprints do not allow them to be confused with other mystery primates once they reach adulthood. And one thing he doesn't mention here is that it's not just the size of the foot. There's variation in the footprint itself. There is no big toe, the hallux as it's called. They apparently don't have one. They've got 4 equally sized toes across the front of their foot. So that's another way you can tell them. True giants pop up all over the western half of the continent. They appear in modern newspaper reporting as well as in very old newspapers. They're a common theme among the Indians as recorded by ethnographers. The activities of cannibal giants has been a popular subject. As people have pursued the notion of Bigfoot out west, they've come upon stories of the usual Bigfoot around 8 foot tall, and the other giant reports make them seem like small actors by comparison. The idea of super tall primates has not been well received by many Bigfoot trackers. Some of them have vacillated on the issue, seeming to accept them only to later deny the idea has any merit. In 2003, one anthropologist recorded how he had heard it put to him. He was not endorsing the idea of actual giants, but only taking note how he had been told of them by one native of his acquaintance. And this version is so short they don't tell you who the native was. He was at a powwow of a local tribe and talking to one of the other natives about Bigfoot, and an old medicine man walked past him, and that's who told him this. I did hear from a western state native man once say that the Sasquatch one typically sees, huge as they are the juveniles. And they're the only ones ever sighted because as youngins, they're not yet shrewd enough to know how to conceal themselves from humans 100% of the time. The adults, he said, are never seen and are unimaginably huge, 12 feet tall or something. That was a new one on me. Now, the comment here in the book is that we can say that native views on the creatures might be correct in their specifics as to the difference in size, while being incorrect in the interpretation of what these differences mean. And what they're saying is they think that, anything over this 8-foot barrier apparently is a giant. I can state unequivocally that is absolutely not true. Thank you for writing the book and everything, Lauren, but you live on the Upper East Coast. I live out here, and we've got tracks way over 20 inches before. I've got video of guys that are over, 12 feet. So, nope, that's Bigfoot. Now, an early account from Oregon tells us something of how giants were living in that region at the time. According to the research of Sidney Warren, front page of the Salem, Oregon Statesman in 1857, contained the account of a young man who encountered a mountain giant. He was carried off to the concealed home of this creature, a cave in the mountain forest of Oregon. After a short stay, he luckily escaped to tell his story. The story was told by one who had set out with an older man to look for some lost cattle. Overtaken by darkness and weariness, the two laid down to rest. About midnight, the boy was awakened by a cry. He rose and walked in that direction. Now, as Warren tells it, he observed an object approaching him that appeared like a man about 12 or 15 feet high, with glaring eyes, which had the appearance of equal balls of fire. The monster drew near to the boy, who was unable from fright to move a single step, and seizing him by the arm, dragged him forcibly away toward the mountains, over logs, underbrush, swamps, rivers, and lake, and land, with a velocity that seemed to our hero as if he was flying. They had traveled in this manner perhaps an hour when the monster finally sunk upon the earth, apparently exhausted. Our hero then became aware that this creature was indeed a wild man. Okay, now listen to the description, whose body was completely covered with shaggy brown hair, about 4 inches in length. Some of his teeth protruded from his mouth like tusks. That's a commonality in mountain giant or mountain troll sightings. They have lower canine teeth that protrude out of their mouth and look like tusks, and Bigfoot don't. His hands were armed with formidable claws instead of fingertips, but his feet, singular to relate, appeared natural, being clothed with moccasins similar to those worn by the Indians. The giant kept his grasp on the boy's arm and continued on as before. In the wilderness, he finally stopped and let out a shriek that shook the forest all around them. The cry apparently was a signal to others to open the entrance to their concealed tunnel system. Immediately after which the earth opened at their feet as if a trapdoor, ingeniously contrived, had just been raised. Entering at once this subterranean abode by a ladder rudely constructed of hazel brush, they proceeded downward, somewhere between 150 to 200 feet, when they reached the bottom of a vast cave, which was brilliantly illumined with a peculiar phosphorescent light, and water trickled from the sides of the cave in minute jets. The boy was taken into the cave, and the entrance was sealed. While in the cave, the boy observed a scene between the giant and a young Indian woman who had been held captive for a long time. The woman was able to pass a note to the boy that advised him to flee or he would be devoured. The boy climbed the ladder to the sealed trap door as soon as they quit paying attention to him and dug furiously to free himself. He had a utilitarian little knife with him that aided these efforts, and after carving a small hole through which he could slip through to the surface, he encountered a group of miners a few miles away who were prospecting on the headwaters of the South Umpqua River. He told his story and was directed to civilization. At first, when the boy returned to his family, they were doubtful. But he had known for being modest and moral, so his story was given some credit among them. Now, this account gives us an idea on how these giants might have devised ways to live concealed in the caves of the West. In this case, that was in the 1950s in the Cascade Range near Crater Lake in Oregon. Now, in 1902, a giant, let's see, now we're going to skip that one. We got another good one in here, too, that I want to find right away. Here we go. This one is up from where Dave is.
Of course.
And of course, because they got to be up there, too. Accounts of the big men in the mountains are contained in the autobiographical recollections of Susan Allison, published in 1976, as a pioneer gentlewoman in British Columbia, edited by Margaret Ormsby. The story of her life in the last half of the 19th century included the account of an old Indian, Kikiwas, who was carried off by the big men of the mountains to a cave inhabited by two giants in the area of Lake Okanagan. The giants were so tall that Kikiwas's head reached only to their knees. They wore clothing made of goat skin. Again, clothing. Notice the other report said he was wearing shoes, moccasins. Bigfoot don't wear clothes. They wore clothing made of goat skin, used fire, again. Bigfoot don't do that. Rolled a large stone to seal their cave at night. The Indian was kept as something of a pet until he was able to flee the cave one night through a crack at the entrance. Kikiwas was an old man when he told his grandson and his great-grandson of the events. The giants were known to come down from the mountain caves lured by the abundance of fish that the Indians were catching. When tending a fish trap, Kikiwas was picked up by one of them and carried off. As he told it, soon he began to whistle. The thing was making the same sound I heard in my sleep and thought it was the north wind. The big man calmly filled the basket with fish out of my trap, then slinging it onto his shoulders, began to ascend the mountain, still whistling with all his might. Once he stopped, and taking me out of his breast, and he's wearing a shirt, he took a fish and tried to cram it down my throat. But seeing me choke, he desisted, and putting me once more in his bosom, went on his way whistling. Peeping out of his shirt, I saw we were in a huge cave. It was dark, save for the red glow of some smoldering embers at the farther end. Throwing a few twigs on the embers, the big man blew them until, with a sharp crackling sound, they began to blaze. Then I saw how vast a cave we were in. It was somewhat low for his size, and from the roof hung garlic, meat, and herbs. Taking me out of his shirt, the big man tied me with a rope to my leg to a log that lay near the fire. Then he stood staring at me. Then for the first time I had a good look at him. Thou knowest, and he's talking to his grandson Toraskin, that I have ever esteemed by others to be a large man. But standing by the big man, my head was scarce level with his knees. His body was covered with garments of goat skin and was white, and he had a large bushy beard that hung down to his waist. Later, a second giant appeared carrying 3 dead does. He was as big as the first, and Kikiwas was able to watch them interact. They conversed in, quote, voices like thunder, unquote. He was held captive for a long time, but one night he was able to escape the cave. He wandered for months until he found his way back to his father's camp. After hearing this account, Kikiwas's grandson had his own encounter. One day he heard a shrieking whistle and hid in the tall grass. He then watched a giant walking past his location. He told his family, quote, never will I doubt the wisdom and truth of the aged, for as thou sayest, Kikiwas, there are many strange things in these mountains, unquote.
Wow. The mountains. Hey, at Okanagan Lake there, was that around the northern part of the lake? Because the southern is more desert than it is a lot of trees. So I'm going to assume that would be the northwestern part of the lake.
Probably. I'm not sure if it gave the detail on exactly which side of the lake it was on.
Right.
But we got another one here that's pretty interesting, too.
We only got 1 minute.
Okay, we ain't got enough time for that then. Well, next time I'm on, I'll read you guys some more stories, and it all comes back to the Mahoney, also called the Nahani Nakani.
Oh, I have a feeling I know where that is going. Super Duke, let everybody know where they can find World Bigfoot Radio.
Not only can you find me on YouTube, but you can also find me on the platform me and Dave were referencing earlier, BitChute and Rumble and Odyssey and Bright Eon. And you can also find my groups, Montana Bigfoot Project on Facebook and World Bigfoot Central on MeWe. Come on over, join up. It's a great group.
That is why we love you, my friend. And, I know we try and give you a lot more time tonight, but this show is just kind of all over the place. Sometimes that's what happens. And when you got a chance to interview, not Uncle Dale, but his mustache, that is always a good time right there that you got to sneak on in. So thanks for being a good sport with us tonight.
No problem, man. I'm here to fill in. Like I said in chat earlier on, if you have problems with not enough people calling in, I'll be ready to go at the bottom of the hour.
Well, you're not here Thursday.
No, Bigfoot Michigan Rob is covering for me. I got a really giant project I got to have done by Sunday, so He's got it covered for me.
Exactly. Well, thank you for being absolutely awesome to this show. We want all of our listeners to go over to YouTube, type in World Bigfoot Radio, hit that subscribe button. Uncle Dookie here always needs the love and support of all of us here at SOR, so thank you so much. A big thank you to all the callers who called on in, Swamp Dweller for another set of spooky stories, and Jesse Peak, who came in on the first hour and then had to leave due to feeling ill. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook.
The world around us is smart. We think your education should be smart too. With the FlexPath learning format from Capella University, you can set your own deadlines and leverage your experience to move forward at your pace. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
CareerBuilder is made for people who have that thing. You know, those superpowers that make you good at your job, the skills you bring to work. And CareerBuilder knows those skills make you right for other jobs too. Higher paying jobs with benefits. Jobs you never thought of trying. Are you a people person? Work from home as a customer service rep? Are you organized and like driving? Become a delivery driver. You have the skills it takes, and CareerBuilder.com has the jobs to get you hired fast. Visit CareerBuilder.com.